Hey everyone, GameHounds podcast. We are back in here, and Nick and I have just finished. Ooh, wow, that's way too big. Just finished prepping the show. God, I wish there was some way to make. I hate this camera so much. Prepping the show. I gotta get the new uh this camera. It's the computer thing sorted out. I just do. It's taking for freaking ever. Why are you not working? No. No. Yes. It's just taking for freaking ever to do. It's so frustrating. Essentially, I really should get a new computer, and I kinda can't do that right now 'cause going to Bali. Did I tell you, by the way, did I tell you how expensive it is to have dogs? If you're gonna go take a trip?
No. Oh, yes, but I know you were asking if I could watch them.
Yeah, for good reason. I'll pay you a lot of money to watch my dogs.
I can't look, this guy is not.
I'll pay you half what I would be spending for um, my dog sitter.
I mean, what makes it doubly tough is that we're going somewhere in October too. Just
Okay.
just for a weekend,
Yeah.
but still.
I'll pay you to take it to a dog sitter for the weekend.
I
No.
imagine, isn't there, but there are app services that you can use to
Yeah.
basically pay like $20 a day for someone to come take care of the dog.
Yeah, but, just, like, that means they're left alone for a whole month, except for when they get walked and fed. That's just
Yeah, that's true.
I'm kinda not okay with that. They kinda need to have a little something more than just take them for a walk and then stick them back in the house for a day and then all night, you know?
I mean, if you give the dog sitter like rental permissions, basically, hey, come live here for a
That's
month,
what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna try and find a house sitter. So,
then yeah, doesn't
anyone
that make
wanna
it cheaper?
guess? I am going to be leaving. I'm dropping the dogs off on the 2nd of November. I am picking the dogs, sorry, 2nd of October. I'm picking the dogs up on the 2nd of November. So it is gonna be 30 days, half September, April, June, and November. So it's gonna be 31 days.
I do the same thing all the time. I
I know I
always
have to do
forget the
that
months.
every single time. 31 days. Take a guess in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. Take a guess of how much it would cost for 2 dogs. Mia, come here. Mia, let me show you the size of these dogs.
Okay, I
Mia,
I'm thinking because I know
come here. Where are you? There
it
you
it
are.
costs
Okay.
a couple hundred to, like, have someone to leave them
Oh,
someplace for a
okay. This
week,
is how big the
right?
dog
Or a
is.
couple
It's not
days.
it's a little dog. It's a very little dog. She's a little bit of a dog. Tiny little thing. Look at those legs. Tiny little legs. Look at those little legs. She's like, "What are you
Does she
doing to me?"
does she still have the mohawk?
Of course she does. She's born with a mohawk. She'll die with a mohawk. Look at that. There we go. Still has the mohawk. Cute dog with a mohawk.
Mhm. She's a
Her
rebel.
and her brother, who's like about this, just a little bit taller. Very easy dogs. The other dog, all he does is sleep all day. She's really good. You just feed her and take her to the park and let her poop. Maybe, play a ball, throw a ball around. You barely have to move yourself to get her to move. Super fun, super easy. They love cats. They love everything. 31 days.
I'm
I am opening up the voting right now in the chat. Just put in your guesses of how much it costs.
I'm gonna guess, and it may be wildly overshooting things, and I have a particular number in my head.
Okay.
I'm gonna say $11,000.
Oh, fuck me, no. We wouldn't be
Okay.
going to Bali.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's not that. So then my next guess
It's
is
not 5 figures, let's just say that.
my next guess is uh, 5,000.
Anybody in the chat room wanna guess how much it will cost me to
It
and
has
and
to
keep in
be
mind
4 figures.
this is not somebody who's just taking care of these dogs themselves. They take care. This is a dog sitter, and she's not, exceptionally expensive in the Bay Area. She's about right,
Does she, like, come
about
to your
average,
house to do
but
it, or is it like a
it's her
service?
house. It stays at
Okay, you
her
put
house,
them there.
but she has, like, you know, daycare. There's anywhere between 5 and 10 dogs, and then she's got a few that she keeps overnight. So this is not her only dogs that are going to be staying at this house. Anybody wanna guess? Nobody? Nobody in the chat room is gonna throw up a roundabout number of what you think that might cost, 2 dogs for 31 days in a
Okay,
house with
so
a bunch of other dogs.
I have, the calculator app out, and I'm thinking like, okay, how much would that be per day? Like $50 per day? It seems a little low, maybe 100 per day, and if that's the case, it comes out to $3,100. So I'm going to lower it and say 4,000. If it's that's a little over $100 a day, that's enough for, like, her to get some pocket money, some going out money, in addition to, whatever expenses the dogs would incur.
It's $55 per dog, $110 a day,
Oh.
$4,000, and that's
Oh.
with a $500 discount because I
Oh,
was like,
really?
I'm gonna be with you for a month. Can I get a little off on that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll give you $500." $4,000.
That's a lot. That's
That's more than what I'm spending on my trip.
that's a vacation.
That's a whole other vacation.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's way more than what I'm gonna be spending on my trip. Way more than what I'm spending on my trip.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're also going to Bali, which, like, has the, very favorable exchange rates.
Right.
Can you
And I've
can you
got and I've got
pay her
and
in
I got
Bali money?
inexpensive flights. I got, $900 flights.
Just say you'll pay her in, Bali, whatever the currency is.
No, she's not gonna take that's still gonna be $4,000. No, I have to get with somebody to see if they can house sit. Or the other possibility is I may just drive out to my friend's house in, AC Races, is that what prompted the need to play
Oh,
CK3? Yeah, I had a
I
bad
did
day
I
yesterday.
did see the text message.
No, 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 I actually got good news from the we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Uh, but, no, no, I'm reeling from that I found that out earlier in the week, so I'm either looking at somebody at house sitting, which means I have to clean my house because it's pretty bad. Um,
Can you pay someone to
to clean
house
the house
sit and clean the house while it's
probably
taking
cost
care of the dogs?
$4,000. I'm sure that would
But
be
it
the same price,
but at
but at
least
least
you'll
I'd
get
have a
more
clean
out
house,
of it.
right?
Yeah, exactly. More bang
Yeah,
for the buck.
yeah. No, 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 no.
Aw.
I'm gonna I have to, like, because I mean, it's just, like, a bunch of, like, old clutter from Kevin's stuff. It's way more cluttered than I've ever had in my house. I've been kinda putting it off. So I need to just kinda buckle under and just do it. But yeah, either that or I might drive out to Idaho and drop my dog off and then fly back.
Hmm, what's
My
in Idaho?
dogs. My friend Kimber. See if
Okay.
she's got, I think, 3 dogs of her own, and they're super loud and barky, and it'd
Mm,
be very chaotic for her. I don't know if having Buddy and Mia there would be any more chaotic, but
but how would Buddy and Mia take it?
that's what I
Would
mean,
they
is
be
that Buddy and
okay?
Mia Buddy might be weirded out, but, I love that dog, but, $4,000 saving $4,000 and letting him be a little weirded out, I'm okay with that. We love has a price. Um So what prompted me the need to play CK3 yesterday, and I just had a really bad day. I went to my accountant, my tax preparer, and I actually got really, really good news. I got a lot of money coming back to me for my
Good.
tax return. I mean, well more than enough to pay for the dogs. Let's just
Okay.
say that. Well more than enough to pay for the dogs. But still, for some reason, it just put me in a really bad mood. And I was driving away and I just realized I don't get into bad moods that often, but I was in a really bad mood. And I was sitting at a stoplight and I was just like on the verge of tears about how much I missed Kevin and I wish
Mm,
he was here. And it was like one of those waves of grief that hit you when you're, grieving. It's a thing, it happens. And as that was starting to wash over me and my eyes, I'm starting to cry as I'm sitting at the stoplight, and then it goes, and then I'm driving towards the on-ramp and I smell something in the car. And I've got the dogs in the back of the car. And I'm like, please God, let that be a fart. And even said like in the back, I'm like, God damn it, dogs, that better be a fart.
it wasn't a fart?
But he took a dump in the Tesla.
Oh, Jesus. Look, look. This has given you complete guilt-free, conscience-free to send him to your friend to be weirded out for a month.
He deserves it.
He deserves it.
No, no, it's all right. I mean, I didn't take him to the park in the morning because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the tax preparer, get my taxes, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna stop on the way home. I'm gonna stop at the dog park. Didn't make it.
I should just taken him out in front of the tax attorney's office. Just go. I'm sure there's like a little strip of grass somewhere along there.
No, no, no. Well, no. I mean, that's the thing is he normally would not have that problem, but just he had a bad day.
Mm,
Never done that. Mr. Buddy is super like, you could tell he felt really bad when I got out of the car and opened up the door and I looked at him and he's like, "I am so sorry," but I couldn't hold it. So, yeah, and it was definitely his stomach. Because then I went to a dog park in the town that I was in, my hometown,
hmm
and, Buddy splatter painted that that dog park.
Jesus.
So,
Okay, okay.
honestly, Buddy did his best. He did his best. At
At the
least
at
he
the
didn't mess at least what he did in the car, I
yeah.
would prefer to what he did to that dog park.
Okay, because that's what I was gonna ask. At the risk of being too graphic,
Yeah.
was it easy to clean up?
It was
W-
very easy to clean up.
Okay, so it wasn't like
And he bless his heart, because he's also Mr. Bladder shy, like, Buddy won't like other dogs, you take them out to poop, they find a place they wanna poop, they squat, they poop. And it's
mhm,
like, "Cool." Buddy's like, "I gotta go run behind a tree."
mm,
Like, if you see Buddy running from behind run into, like, the tree line or to hide somewhere, it's like Buddy's pooping 'cause Buddy likes his privacy. Um, but he got out of the sling in the back seat and got onto the floor mat.
okay, okay,
Right. And so he hid, found some privacy
yeah,
to do his thing. But yeah, all of a sudden, whatever guilt that I had for buying those very expensive floor mats or having my boss buy those very expensive floor mats, what evaporated because, of course, it was, floor mat, right on the floor mat. So it's all good.
okay. That makes it a lot
Cleaned
better.
it up, a little baby wipe, and it was done.
I was picturing it on the seat.
No, no, no. Yeah, well, if he'd have done it on the sling, that would have been fine because the back seat is all covered with a sling.
Okay.
So but he didn't do it on the sling. That was the sling would have actually been more problematic, been harder to clean. No,
Hmm.
he somehow wedged his way out of the sling onto the floor and then did it on the so, if you're gonna do it, that's how to do it. He was good. A
Okay.
Joe, Joe Squat. You really, really want to press my buttons, don't you, AC Wraith? You really do. Um, so yeah, it was just a bad day. It was just a bad day. So I came home and it's like I'm in a really uniquely bad mood. Like not bad, but just not like mean bad, just like just
Yeah, you're feeling bad.
I'm feeling
You
bad.
feeling like crap.
Right. So I popped open CK3.
Did CK was it at least a good round of CK3?
I did something I hadn't done in a really long time. No. The bad day continued in CK3. Um, I did something I'd never done before. I played Iron Man, which I have done before, but I played random
Mm.
characters. There's actually a button you can
Oh,
pick to pick a random character. So I picked a random character and I got the emir of a very, very small equivalent of a duchy in Iberia. So it was part of the struggle for Iberia, like side game. Like that whole region kind of has like this other rule set that's happening there because of the DLC for Struggle for Iberia. And
Iberia. Where's Iberia?
that's Spain, Portugal,
Okay.
the Iberian Peninsula. So I started there and it fuck just man, just all kinds of just not good things happening. First guy, he's older, but he has a wife and no kids. So I feel they're Muslim. They can have multiple wives. I had 5 wives,
And no kids.
2 daughters.
Mm.
So it went to my brother. So then I'm playing as my brother and I end up getting myself a really good son. A really baby. I have 2 existing sons who I don't want to inherit because they're terrible because I didn't control them. Then I got 1 son out of one of the wives, and he wasn't that great. And then the next son was like the golden child. It had everything. It was gonna be great. We had it all set up. He was like 1. It's like, all right, we're good. So I murder my sons, my older sons.
As you do.
Well, no, I take it back. The first older son I murder because he's just a horrible. Actually, I throw him in jail and execute him, which makes people upset. For good reason. Then there's the second loser son. And I was like, well, I'm gonna try and I can't murder him. Won't let you murder a son. So I'm gonna set up a murder scheme for him. And I was all no, I take it back. I did murder him. I murdered both. I executed both of my older sons. So then I just had the baby,
Okay.
1 baby ahead to execute.
And he's the one
To
you
grow up,
opened the
enough because you can't murder kids.
yeah, he's the one you opened the scheme on?
No, I couldn't open a scheme on a baby. I had to wait for the baby to grow up and then I could execute the scheme on him.
Why? Babies are the easiest to scam.
I know. And or I could have disinherited him, but I didn't have enough fame to do it. I needed a
Mm.
little more, just a little fame, and I would have been able to execute disinherit him. And I died. So that left
Oh,
me
no.
as an infant on the throne.
With the loser infant, not the good infant.
The loser infant, not the good infant. So then I was trying to figure out how to get rid of the good infant.
How do you
Get rid of the bad infant in favor of the good infant.
how do you kill yourself
You
in
can't.
CK3?
I tried. I tried to stress that kid out so he had an aneurysm. I did everything. Anybody was watching saw I made all the wrong decisions for that kid. And somehow, some way, by the time he got to be 16, was really good. Holy shit. So good. So good.
Look, nature versus nurture, I think you proved it's nurture.
But wait,
Even if
there's
you didn't really
more.
nurture him.
But wait, there's more. So the really good baby is now grown up and he owns he's actually my vassal underneath me, right? Because I've owned the duchy and then he
Mhm.
because it was, it's split when when the father died, it split it between the 2 kids, right?
Okay.
With the one I was playing getting the big title and then another smaller title going to the other son, who was like the golden child, right? So finally this guy grows up and he's like 13 and I'm like, this dude is turned into a freaking mega Chad. This is probably the best character that I haven't like made myself that I've ever had. He was athletic. He got strong. He got hunter status. His stewardship without modifiers was 27.
Wow, that's
So
really
much
impressive.
the money was rolling in. Oh my god. The only thing that was lacking a little bit, he wasn't getting much piety, and I really, really wanted to create get some piety going because I was kinda holding me up, and I knew that that was gonna be an issue for me later. So he's Muslim. So his first, um, pilgrimage has to be a Hajj. You can do other pilgrimages later, but with Muslims, your first pilgrimage must be a Hajj, which means he's got to go to Mecca,
Okay.
and I am in Spain. So I hire a bunch of people to go with me. I hire like experienced captains. Hire desert warriors. I get bodyguards. I get
Yeah,
a
is it
caravan
I
master.
mean, from Spain, isn't that, like, practically just a simple boat ride across the Mediterranean?
That's a very long boat ride across the Mediterranean. It's a long
Okay.
trip. And I decide to take a few side trips, which you can do in with this new tours and tournaments. It added the ability for when you travel places instead of just going and it was like things happen, you actually can see the travels and you can plan a route and actually stop off on places on the way and it will get you like super points. Now I was married, I had like 3 wives at that point, no heir. I was 21, hadn't had an heir yet. I'm like, I really need to get fertility. If I get a few points in this particular realm, like if I get a few points in diplomacy, I could use it to get all I need is one single thing to get to one skill to buy. And then I can actually do other things which will help me. So I'm like, all right,
Okay.
I'm going to stop off at these places that are give me a lot of points for this particular, quality. So I decide to go to the pyramids
Okay.
and we get accosted by bandits. And I had a choice and it was my very best night. And they said, "You've been accosted by bandits." And I could either choose like it was this thing about like, all right, you and your best night, Rodrigo, look at each other. You've practiced this before, or you just send Rodrigo out there and he'll die. You had that choice. And
Mm,
if you practiced this before, you had like I'd say 60% chance of living and like a 30% chance of dying.
okay.
So I'm like, man, Rodrigo is really my only good night. And I'm about to go on some serious like conquest. I'm gonna get into some wars as soon as I get back. I'm gonna need him. 60% chance of living. And if you were watching, I think it was only Blood Reaper was on at that point, and I'm like, please don't die. 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 God damn it! So he died with no heirs, and guess who I'm playing now?
The golden child.
The golden child, but I didn't raise him, and now he's shit.
I mean, if anything, you know that you could turn him into a better
No,
person.
no, he's already an adult. I really can't at this
Oh,
point. I
you
can't
can't mold him
mold
now?
him. I can't make him golden. The only thing I could do now is hopefully marry him off to some or get a wife with other good traits, and then maybe get another son that is a golden child that I can raise and make good.
So the golden child just like wasted away all of his talents and then grew up into an average adult.
An average adult with a one good inheritable trait.
Hmm.
And that was where I left. That was at like
Oh,
midnight
that's
last night, and I'm like, I'm going to bed. I
such
can't do
such a
this. I cannot do this.
tragedy of
I'm
the
so angry. Everything went fucking wrong on that game.
so a tragedy
Everything
of
went wrong.
the fuck up son, the black sheep of the family gets the throne and he works his way up and he tries so
He's
hard
good, and he
and it
turns into a
works
really good ruler.
and he's like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then he gets accosted by bandits and he's like, you know what? I can do this. My whole life has been building to this moment.
That was the moment he knew he fucked up. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Oh, that's a Greek tragedy right
This
there.
this whole game had been a Greek tragedy. Every time I turned around, somebody had died for some dumb, like a lot of times somebody's gonna die. Like when they get to be like, 60, 70 years old, or at least 60 plus years old when you're playing um the earlier one. I forget what it is. It's not 1066, it's the one that's what six whatever. The earlier time frame, which is what I was playing. When you get to be in your 50s and 60s, you just get you to be in your 60s. That's when you have to start worrying about dying.
Yeah, it's a general life expectancy.
Right, general life expectancy at that point. Everybody died early. Everybody died early.
Oh yeah.
And unexpectedly. And the worst one was the one that I could make. I made the decision and I rolled wrong. It was just a
Hmm.
RNG.
Those
The dice did
dice.
not fall the way that they needed to. I'm so angry. I went to bed so mad. I have never walked away from Crusader Kings that angry before.
But you know what? At least you came away with a really good story.
That's, and that's what makes Crusader Kings so good. Because no matter what happens, there's always a really good story involved. There's
Hmm.
always this story of like, and then this happened, and then this unexpectedly happened, and then this Joker murdered my wife, who was like, she was pregnant. She was pregnant. And I don't have an heir. That kind of stuff.
Hmm.
That happens. It
Like
just,
what's crazy is you started the game has like this Machiavellian sociopathic ruler who's like, I need to kill my children so that the kingdom goes to the good child. And then he died before completing that. And it's like, oh my God, my kingdom is ruined. And then that kid turns around and suddenly becomes the hero of his own story
yeah,
until he dies unexpectedly. And now it's passing to like right now, the gifted child who grew up into an average adult and then takes the throne when his brother unexpectedly dies. That's a setup right there. That is a setup for a novel right there.
I tried so hard to kill that kid when he was an infant, right? When he died, when his father died and he ascended the throne, right? As an infant, he's got a way better brother. That's the one I wanted. He was ill. He was sick.
Oh.
I fired the wet nurse. I fired the court physician. I had nothing there. And I'm like, he's sick. Maybe we'll get lucky and he'll die. So I played him hoping he'd die. And he got better. And I'm like, God damn it. So I made sure I never hired a court physician the entire time when he was an infant into a young adult. Did it actually all the way through his childhood up until he was 16. I didn't have a court physician because I wanted him to die. And he got sick 3 times. And without any help and making all the wrong decisions. Like, I have a choice of like, I'm sick. We should take me to a physician, or leave me alone. I want to lie in bed. I'm like, yep, leave me alone. Yep, yep. Go lick a toilet seat if you can. He recovered every single time. And then by the time that he was really good, I hired a court physician I send him on a crusade, on a pilgrimage, and he dies.
You know what? This is solid character building right here because I can see this character of like, no, I got sick and I got better all this time. It grows him into an arrogant person. I can survive anything. Like, you know what? It makes perfect sense that he would die like that because he grew up thinking
I
he was
should have just
invincible.
known that it was cursed. I should have just known he was cursed. I should have just known. AC Ray says, you raised a Prince Aemon Targaryen from pig gifted to dragon rider. I did. He was a dragon. He was such a Chad. He was an unbelievable Chad. And I didn't mean to grow him into a Chad. He did it on his own, despite my efforts.
So clearly, this means you have to neglect every child in CK3. Tough love makes them better.
You know, if you do it intentionally, the CK3 gods know.
Right.
Yeah, you can't fool the CK3 gods. They know your intentions.
Mhm.
So yeah, once again, CK3 does not let me down in that one, totally distracting. When I left, I was still in a bad mood, but for a different reson.
Well, now
And two, a really good story that I could come back with of like, holy crap, I couldn't have written that story if I tried.
Mhm.
The
Now I'm
the arc on that was unbelievable.
now I'm so curious how this kid is gonna handle it.
I
What is he
I'm
going to do?
I've never really put together a supercut of a playthrough, but because this has been so freaking eventful and so freaking cursed, I'm
It's
actually
such a
thinking
good
of doing it
story.
into a supercut.
That'd be cool. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a rise, fall.
Murder, no, yes, no, what am I gonna do? What horrible things am I gonna do in order to get to the good kid? I can't get to the good kid. Trying to kill the bad kid in every decision that I could possibly make. And he survives. And it's like, oh my God, he's actually really good. Not 10 minutes after I said, wow, I'm actually really starting to like this guy. He's actually really good. I actually like him. Not 10 minutes later, dead as a doornail in Cairo.
The CK3 gods. They are cruel but funny.
They are harsh mistresses. So
Mhm.
yeah, once again, CK3, I would argue possibly the best game that was ever made. And you know, the thing is that you're never gonna hear people say that because, oh my God, Baldur's Gate. Yeah, but have you taken the arguably hours and hours of
Yeah,
research and
there's a
study to learn
huge
how to play this
investment.
game? And if you do, CK3, possibly the best game ever made.
I could see that argument.
With the exception of like, you know, the steep learning curve.
Yes. Although I will say, getting into CK3, and maybe it's because like you were there guiding me, it was a lot easier than getting into CK2.
Yeah. Yeah. And CK3, I think I never played CK2, but I've heard that CK3 has a not as steep a learning curve as CK2.
Yeah, I just remember I got CK2, and I wanted to play a Game of Thrones mod for it, so I bought it like for $5 on a Steam sale, booted it up, spent 2 hours like going through all of their tutorial information, learning all the menus, and then I'm like, okay, I'm in the game now.
What do I do?
What do I do? It's like
Yeah.
nothing's happening.
Yeah.
What do I click on? What?
Yeah. That's how I was when I played CK3. After watching many hours of it, I only discovered it by watching a live streamer, by watching Italian Spartacus. By the way, follow him if you want to learn about Warhammer or any other of those strategy games. He's fantastic,
I
especially when it comes to CK3, because he actually starts the show whenever he does a campaign. He starts each show with some actual history around
Oh,
what
that's
he's
cool.
doing, and then sometimes he tries to play it historically, sometimes he doesn't, but you essentially get a sense of what really happened in this era and who these people are. Who are the Visigoths? Who are the Varangian adventurers? Who are the Kievan Rus? Where you start understanding world history in a really interesting way. And then, of course, playing the game, and you're playing some of the characters that are actual real characters. And he'll tell you, he'll go into like, who was this character? Who was El Cid? And why was he such a badass? And then, of course, El Cid is a character in the game that you can get as a knight. And trying to get El Cid to join you up in Ireland, or over, just really, really good way to do it. And it was watching him that made me want to play it. And then after even watching him for many, many, many hours, then going to CK3, same thing. Opened it up the first time. It was like, what do I do? And then it was many, many, many hours of tutorials of how do you play?
Yeah.
What do you do? And now it's tutorials of, okay, how do you optimize what you need to do? What are all the different like perks that each of the that are available to different cultures, and how you can meld the cultures, and depending on how you want to play. If you want to play tall, if you want to play wide, meaning that you conquer the world, or do you want to just
Mm.
create a small country that is the most developed and the richest in the world, so much that no one can touch you because you've got a massive army on a very small space. So yeah, it's I know I've been how long have I been playing it? God.
I mean, it came out last year, didn't it?
No, no, I was playing it. I started watching Italian Spartacus when Kevin was sick. So it's
Mm.
been more than 2 years that I've been playing this game. And even now, I'm still watching other players play campaigns and learning from them of how to handle stuff.
Oh, yeah, I see here, release date September 1st, 2020.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, so it's almost been 3
So
years.
it was out a year, almost a year. September 1st, 2020. That's about right when I started watching.
Mhm. That
Maybe a
makes
little bit
sense,
after
like,
that.
it's a new game, he probably started streaming the new game.
And I only probably got recommended to it on YouTube because I was watching history uh historical
Oh, for the Ukraine war?
No, no, I was actually there was another if you're interested in history, a guy who started it during the pandemic. His and it was essentially his kids that were like, "Hey, why don't you do this on YouTube?" And he just started this channel. Now it's gotten quite big, where he's actually traveling the world and going these places. It's called
Cool.
Historian Reacts. No, sorry, Vlogging Through History.
Hmm.
And he's a historian, and he was originally reacting to other content creators' historical content, like talking about history, or like a short history of, and then like stopping and like going into detail and like
Mm.
go, especially with the Civil War. And because of all of that historical stuff that I was watching, Italian Spartacus got recommended to me because he starts his show with this history. And then, of course, playing the game. And I was like, this looks really cool. I really like this. And after watching him for many hours, that's why I bought the game and then got lost and then fell into the rabbit hole.
Hmm. I will say, you talking about YouTubers, it reminded me that, I a month ago or so, you sent me a video link that was like, "You gotta watch this YouTube video, it's really funny." And it was from a guy named Doug.
Doug. Oh my God, that guy's so fucking
And
funny.
he had created like
So
a
funny.
Twitch plays tabletop game of like these people going through a supermarket and whatever. It was really funny. And so I then started watching more of his stuff.
Doug's
And at a
amazing.
certain point, I was like, shit, Edie got me hooked on the Spiffing Brits content. Now she's got me hooked on Doug. It's like, okay, when Edie recommends like a YouTuber, it's like, oh, it's a solid check it out because they're usually
Doug
pretty good.
Doug is amazing. Just
Hmm.
amazing. Well, I mean, he's a coder on top of it, so he just codes crazy stuff to make to be able for Twitch to react to stuff
Yeah.
and
Well,
play
what's good,
stuff. Oh,
great is like his Twitch audience is like really clever and witty. And so when you watch the supercuts of like him interacting with them, they are really funny. Because a lot of his stuff is I'm gonna give random Twitch user control of the game for 5 minutes. And they do it for 5 minutes and then it goes to someone else and someone else. And so like the stuff they do is and say is like really funny.
it's also he will get play a oh man, I wish I could remember what some of the games he would play, but he would play RPGs where there were decisions to be made, and he would have Chat beat GPT tell him what to do.
Mm.
Oh, so funny.
I saw some of that. I saw like a Skyrim playthrough where he need to get from point A to point B, except the bear spawned every 10 seconds. That was good. The RPG one was good. Any like I play not SimCity, City Skyline or Roller Coaster Tycoon or Zoo Tycoon, but a disaster happens every 5 minutes, or like a random Twitch user becomes CEO for 5 minutes and tells me what to do. And it's like, okay, I'm playing City Skyline, build a train. Spend all your money on a train that circles the entire area. Okay, next person, destroy the train. It's like, we just spent all the money doing this. What do we do?
Some of the more funny ones, if you haven't seen Doug's, is when he has coded it a voice recognition so that every time he
Mm.
says certain words, like if he says bear, a bear will spawn. If he says dragon, a dragon will spawn. And people super chatting him, which he will read out loud, and they'll try to make him say dragon, but he won't say dragon. But if it goes, Doug, the problem with your show sometime is they drag on so much. And he'll read it and it's like, God damn. And it's so clever of the ways that they craft words to make like conjunctive words that kind of sound like the thing that he doesn't want to say.
I gotta watch those ones. I haven't
Oh,
seen those.
so talk about clever people. So funny. So funny. And Doug is just a really funny guy anyway.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, if you haven't, I'm sure everybody's found Doug, but if you haven't found Doug, go watch Doug. His content is
I do, I think it's funny
fantastic.
too that on YouTube there's his main channel, Doug, and then there's a channel called Doug, which
Oh,
is
is
just like more of things, and then there's a channel called Doug,
there?
which includes all of the unedited VODs.
Really? I didn't know
So
that.
so far, I've only seen those three. So it's Doug, then Doug.
All right, so enough of just random bullshit. I know that we didn't do an intro, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like an
Oh
intro
right.
today.
Yeah. Okay.
Eh,
Yeah. Who cares?
who cares? It's been a shitty day. It's been a shitty couple of days. I'm just living angry at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, what have you been playing?
Well, I have not been living angry because I started playing a game that came out this Friday that I've been looking forward to, Armored Core 6.
Mhm.
This is the next game from Software, who are, infamous for Dark Souls, Demon Souls,
Right.
Elden Ring, all the Souls likes come
Right.
from.
They invented the IP. They invented Souls like.
Yeah, yeah. And Armored Core 6 is obviously continuation of a franchise that they made mainly in like the PS2 era. I think there might be
Mhm.
a couple Xbox 360 games, but it's a franchise that it was always kind of niche and then has been dormant for like the past 10, 15 years almost. So it's interesting to see them go back to that well. I had never played Armored Core before, so this is kind of my first time into the franchise, and it's so far it's pretty good. It's not a Souls-like, which is kind of the most interesting thing. Like, it is far and away a major departure from that type of game that they're really known for. It's not open world. It's heavily mission structured. So you have a mission, you go out and do it, and then as soon as you complete the objective, the mission ends. There have been some times where I completed the objective to like destroy this generator, and there are still enemies around me. But as soon as I destroy the generator, I get the message that mission complete. I lose control, and the screen kind of fades to black. Has enemies are still shooting at me, but it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. I beat the mission. Um,
Is
that
this a
said,
game that you could conceivably just run to the goal and just hit complete the goal, then be done?
kind of if the objective calls for it.
Mhm.
Right? Some of the objectives are like, oh, destroy these 3 generators, but you'll get bonus money at the end for each enemy you kill.
Okay.
So you are
So
incentivized
you're
to like,
incentivized to actually play it right.
yes. And for the real sickos out there, like for just the Armored Core freaks, this game could go really deep because at the end, you are you get money for completing the mission, extra money for any bonus objectives, but you're also deducted expenses. So if you get hurt, obviously that's some expenses. If you
Mhm.
use ammo, that's some expenses. So for the sickos out there, I think at a certain point you get ranked on the missions. And so you can go through it being like, I want to use as little ammo as possible,
Mhm.
while also taking as little damage as possible because I want to maximize the amount of money I'm getting.
Right.
I'm not going that far. If I beat a mission, hey, that's fine. I beat it. There was one mission that I think I got. It paid me like 400,000 credits, but I got 150
Mhm.
because I just got wrecked throughout it.
Oh, yeah.
I got wrecked. I had a bunch of missile launchers on me, and I just like shot every missile, right? I'm just blowing through all that super expensive ammo.
Mhm.
I'm a taxpayer's nightmare. Oh, this $2 million missile? Yeah, I'm gonna shoot it off into the sky. Why not? But uh, the way that it plays is kind of the big thing. It's a mech game, and so what's cool about it is a lot of the game centers around building your mech. There's a parts shop where you can buy various parts, and I'm talking arms, legs, cores, heads, generators, boosters, in addition to various weapons for your hands and various weapons for your shoulders. And all of this factors into how the mech plays. So
Mhm.
I could get legs that are reverse jointed that would allow me to jump really high, but because they're so thin, I can't put on a lot of heavy weapons. And so I have a weight limit that I then have to be conscious about, which means that that factors into what guns I can bring. Or I could buy like a quadruped uh, legs, 4 legs in one, kind of spider leg. Obviously, my weight increases a lot. Or I could buy tank treads and just go like, people talk about being a tank in RPGs. You could literally be a tank.
Mhm.
And so it's really cool trying to go to each level and thinking, okay, not just how do I want to play this, but what do I think is best in this level? Because some levels, so for the most part, in the beginning, I just recently beat chapter 1. And that's like a solid 4 hours. And for a while, I was just kind of breezing through the game. Like, oh, this is cool. I've got a medium mech. I've got legs, I've got arms, but not really thinking about the construction of it. And then I hit this mid-level boss, and this dude just wrecks me. Just absolutely obliterates me to the point that I think, how am I supposed to do this? And so for that, I kind of looked up a guide and it emphasized like a lighter build. And so that's when I bought the reverse jointed. I took off a bunch of weapons. I focused on like lighter weapons and a sword So instead of like trying to hang back a medium distance and shooting at him, I would get in close and use my sword a bunch. After a couple tries, I wrecked him.
Oh, nice.
And it's like that moment, even in a Souls game, where a boss that was really, really hard, all of a sudden you beat it like without thinking,
Mhm.
and you realize, oh shit, like the all of a sudden the systems open up to you, right? It's like reading the Matrix, where I've suddenly realized, I see how this works.
Yeah, I love talk not to bring it back to CK3, yes, that but it's very much that same feeling of like, "Oh, is that how it works? Oh." Yeah.
Mhm. And so yeah, then for the next boss that then obliterated me again, I started thinking, okay, well, why did it obliterate me? I didn't have much health, so I'm going to put back on the heavier frames. Oh, he's got a pulse shield, so I'm gonna buy this gun that is designed to take down pulse shields. He shoots a lot of missiles, so again, I'm gonna focus on getting up close because if I'm close to him, he can't use his long range weapons.
Mhm.
And yeah, it does the thing that a lot of Souls games do in that the bosses are pretty hard, uh, but they're hard in ways that are puzzles that are kind of fun to play around with and think about. Like, okay, how is this guy set up? How do I give myself an advantage? He's really fast. Well, do I want to be fast or do I want to be a tank? Um, but what's different from a Souls game is not just the mission structure, but that some of those bosses can be really tough. But then for the most part, the enemies are all pretty easy. Like it's a game, it's an arcadey game that you get to burn through, and when you're fighting low level enemies, like you feel like a badass mech. And so yeah, it creates this really interesting balance between the fun arcade of just ripping through opponents
Mhm.
to suddenly you're forced to like stop, think about what you're doing, think about your mech build.
Right.
Uh, and yeah, Rachel has made fun of me because it's one of those games that I really like where you spend just as much time in the menu as you do in the game.
Character creation?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
We
the
love
screen
that
going
game.
like, "Okay, let's see. This part gives me like plus 200 generator boost. This other one, this gives me less upward thrust, but more energy. Like, do I want that?" It's like, "Oh," and just that nitpicking over the details.
Right.
Um, but it's all in service to a game that feels really, really good to play. Unlike any Souls game, more kind of like I feel like the soul of this game is most closely associated with Sekiro in that it's a pretty fast-paced game. Um, like you can jump around a whole lot, and even if you create a tank character, that tank is still chugging along pretty quickly. It's always boosting. You always want to be boosting. Like if you just hold the control stick forward, your mech walks, but he goes so slow. You always boost. You never stop moving in this game. That's kind of how you avoid damage is just move. And when you have a game like that, I think it's easy to be overwhelming, but the UI does a really good job of expressing all the information you need it to so that like I never feel overwhelmed. I can see exactly how much ammo is left in my gun on the UI. I can see how long my cooldowns are like in the reticle at the center of the screen. So I'm never like looking left and right and then at the center of the screen. The lock on icon that's on the enemy tells me my cooldowns, my ammo, my everything. And so it's a really good UI design that kind of keeps my eye always in the same place.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a cool game. The story it feels like a game that comes from the PS2 era because the story is like entirely told through pre-mission and post-mission briefings.
Mhm.
And so there's voice acting, but it's a lot of text. And so
Mhm.
that's why I say it feels like it comes from the PS2 era when developers aren't making elaborate cutscenes. Like
Right.
PS2 is a time of let's just put some text and voice on screen.
Right.
And so after a mission, I get a message of someone going, "Oh, okay, good, you did this. Solid job. Oh, I've got this next mission for you. Do this." Uh, but it's creating an interesting world, at least so far. There's a planet called Rubicon that used to be this like really resource rich mine, but then like the resources exploded
Mhm.
and basically wiped out every development on the planet, but the resources are still there. And so now the planet has kind of become this wild west of mercenary forces fighting against each other, but also fighting against the natives, like the Rubiconians who still live there and are trying to, you know, defend their planet from all these mercenary groups. And you come in has a kind of mysterious third party.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly what my role is, but I come in and take the ID of a dead mercenary.
Right.
And from there, I then become like, hey, I join a bunch of these mercenary groups, and I'm a rising star in the mercenary culture. But that's all based off of this stolen identity. And so I'm not quite sure who I am and how I'm going to fit into the larger picture here,
Mhm.
but I'm interested in it. Like for all the kind of storytelling through PowerPoint presentations, it still manages to be an interesting story. So,
So how much
yeah,
did you spend for it?
70. Like it's a new game, console game, so default is $70.
Wow, wow. Is it worth the 70?
I think
You
so.
know, I always ask you that about that because when you're spending that much money on something,
Yes.
that's a lot of money to be spending on something that you're not gonna have a good long playthrough on. I mean, and honestly, for that amount of money, I expect things to have a replayability factor to it.
Th-
Either that or the story blows you away.
this is absolutely a replayability thing. It's very arcadey.
Mhm.
Uh, and like when you do a mission, you can then replay that mission to get more money.
Right.
So in theory, I could buy every single mech part. And what is cool about the game is you buy mech parts from the store, right? And then you put them on, you play with them. But if I realize, you know what, I bought this plasma gun, I don't really like how the plasma gun handles.
Mhm.
You can sell it back at full price.
Right.
And
That's
so
kinda nice that you don't have to, like, have buyer's remorse, and,
exactly.
I've had that happen so many times in games where it's like, "Ugh,
Mhm.
if only I hadn't spent that because I thought it was gonna do something different than it did, or it sounded really good, but it's actually not that great."
Yeah. Uh, and I think that's what makes fiddling with the mech a lot of fun is because I can look at the shop and go, "Oh, there's a new pair of legs. I want to buy those, see how they feel. Is this reverse jointed leg better than the other reverse jointed leg?"
Right.
Or, "Hey, there's a napalm launcher. How does that differ from my grenade launcher? Let me play around with it and figure it out." And, "Oh, it doesn't work. Whatever. I'll keep it, maybe I'll sell it back." But there is no you're not locked into any purchase.
Right.
Uh, even there's a whole kind of separate skill tree of there are these arena fights where you kind of do a one-on-one fight with other mechs, and for those you get bonus currency that you can then spend on other types of upgrades.
Mhm.
Even those, you can reset all of them at will. And so at no point are you ever locked into a specific build. So you're constantly free to just experiment, play around, and fiddle with it. And so
Did you
it
ever play Chrome Hounds?
no, I didn't.
See, I'm wondering how this compares because I mean, it's very similar in that way to Chrome Hounds, but, in that whole idea of changing around your mech, adding earning, money or points or whatever you need to be and making things accessible to you that weren't before so that you could upgrade, and in some cases, you'd have well, at least in Chrome Hounds, you'd have multiple different mechs that you could do in different situations,
Mm.
and it was also multiplayer. Is this multiplayer at all?
I know it has some multiplayer aspect. I don't think it's just pure PvP.
Yeah, I mean, the
There
Chrome
might
Hounds weren't
be.
PvP either. There was PvP, there was also PvE, but it was group PvE. Like you would actually create a team.
I think there might be something like that here. I haven't looked at all in the multiplayer, so I
Yeah,
don't
so
know for sure.
you'd like create something that were like a team that had balance, like someone that was good for range, or one mech that was good for range, one that mech was good for as a quote unquote tank that would take all of the abuse, and run, and then that kind of stuff. No, like healer or anything, but like damage dealer
Mhm.
versus heavy, heavy slow stuff that would just get in the way and soak up bullets, and then leaving space available for something that was fast and did a lot of damage, but might be a little bit weaker or a bit of a glass cannon, literally.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
was fun. I played quite a lot of that, but it just never really got fleshed out. This is what we wanted to be playing, it looks like,
mm,
rather than what we got. Or what we got was good. It was fine.
yeah, but you kinda kept waiting for more depth to appear.
Right. Exactly. And we kind of had to make our own depth, and that depth was worthwhile if you had a team of people you played all the time. But if you played single player, it kinda wasn't that great. I mean, it was
Okay.
alright.
AC Rift says that the Armored Core multiplayer is a 1v1 duel.
Okay. So, yeah, that's I think that probably is where Chrome Hounds got its well, what came out first, Armor Core or Chrome Hounds?
I think Armored Core, like I said, Armored Core was around PlayStation 2 era.
Okay, so yeah, Armored Core was definitely around for because I didn't play, Chrome Hounds was what? Xbox 360, I believe. So, yeah, it probably Chrome Hounds took an inspiration from Armored Core, and instead of it being, and saying 1v1 or, like multiplayer versus, it would be multiplayer team versus.
I imagine back then, Chrome Hounds was probably a much more approachable version of it because I know early Armored Core, based on what I've heard in podcasts, early Armored Core games were like real sicko nerd spreadsheets. Like
Yeah, I could see
this
that.
this game, when you're looking at a part, by default, it shows you like maybe 10 different numbers, right? And it's like they're all relevant. Here's the energy uses, here's the weight, here's how much it's affecting
Oh,
defense,
that's
offense.
exactly what Chrome Hounds was.
But then you can toggle the menu and like, no, no, I want to see all the numbers. You hit that, and all of a sudden, there's 30 different stats up on screen. It's like, oh shit. And from what I understand, that is still streamlined from what it used to be back in
Yeah,
the PS2. So
yeah,
yeah, Chrome Hands is probably like the streamlined version, and
yeah.
I
It
think
was
that's
Armor
too
Core
much.
Light.
That's too much. I think where it is now is really, really good. And I think I've heard from other people on podcasts that like, oh, if you're a fan of the Souls-like games, you might not like this one because it's a very different type of game. And I will say it is a different type of game, but it kind of keeps that core uh it doesn't have the exploration that a Souls-like game does,
Right.
but it has the RPG aspects. And so I think if you enjoy that kind of character creation and character building, the whole build variety that some people get really into with a Souls game, this is kind of that done in a whole different sci-fi action genre. So you still, if you come to Dark Souls or Elden Ring for, oh, I want to fiddle with my character, I want to find like this sword versus that sword, this armor versus that armor, and playing around with builds, this captures that same feeling.
I could see that.
Mhm.
So, I'm imagining that you're gonna be playing a lot of this game.
Yes, at least up until September 5th, I think. September 5th or 6th, which is when Baldur's Gate and Starfield both come out.
Right.
So I got to get in as much Armored Core time as I
So,
can.
if you remember Starfield, you remember when and I said I did something really stupid,
Mhm.
and I bought the Constellation pack. I get it
Yeah.
5 days early.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I get it on the 1st.
Will you be able to talk about it 5 days early? Because from what I understand, Bethesda is, being a real prick about leaks.
Yeah, but what are they gonna do about leaks? We're players. We're not under an NDA. We bought it and we're getting it 5 days early.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? Take away our code? No.
Maybe. I don't know.
I paid $250 for that code.
Um,
So, no, they're not.
no, I
No.
just know what one of the news stories I heard this week is that some like the first 40 minutes of Starfield leaked and people have been talking about it, showing video. But before that, some streamers that had gotten the game was showing the title screen, and one of the
Mhm.
devs was like, "I don't like people breaking embargo. I don't like people, spoiling the game, no matter how small it is." And people going, "It's a menu screen." But then also, that's right. If you want evidence that some people are just stupid, I don't want to get too much into news, but well, we can because I don't have any other games to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I do wanna talk about that Constellation pack.
Okay, so then
Number
first,
1, they can't stop me from talking about it. It's called free freaking speech. I don't have an
yeah,
NDA. What are they gonna do? Stop me from buying Bethesda games in the future? No. No. I'm not a podcaster. I didn't get any special rights. All I
hmm
did was pay more so I could get in 5 days early, and I get a watch. But number 2 is those Constellation packs. Holy crap, I'm glad I bought one.
Oh, are they going for a lot on the resellers?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they are. And actually, you wanna know what's going for a lot is the watch.
Hmm,
People want the watch, which
interesting.
it's not the code. I mean, some people are selling it with the code, but it's not the code, it's not the box, it's not the other stuff, it's not the book. They want the watch,
I remember there was an
which is the one thing I
article.
want.
There's like an article on something several months ago that was like these are the most rare video game items that people are like buying. And today, they're all special editions. Like I remember back in the day when it was really hard to get a copy of Xenogears. And like that became a rare item. Or like there
Mhm.
were Rule of Rose was like a rare survival horror PS2 game.
Right.
And now it's like, no, everything comes out digitally. Everything is easily accessible to everyone. So now all of the rare things are all collector's editions. Like I
Yep.
think the Resident Evil 4 collector's edition is super rare and people are paying thousands of dollars for it.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah,
But
the one thing that I'm really mad I didn't get was that, and I almost bought it, but I couldn't. I just bought the collector's edition, the Constellation edition for Starfield, and I couldn't quite bring myself to get it, to spend that much more money, was the, female, shepherd, statuette that was removed from the Mass Effect merch store.
mm,
I really wish I'd bought it because I saw it and my finger was hovering on that button and I was like, I'm lying in bed. I need to go to sleep. I kind of want to get it, but I just bought the Constellation edition.
and
I
yeah,
don't want to spend that much money.
that's probably really
That's going
rare
to be
because
stupid rare because they pulled it.
yeah. And AC rate is still not enough cloth maps. I agree. I miss cloth maps. Um
Yeah.
But about the Starfield leak, I
All right. So
guess
should we get into let's get into news.
yes.
Let's let's run just for shits and giggles. Let's run some music. Oh, let's hit the news. Is Starfield leaks.
So, like about a week ago, the main menu of Starfield leaked online. This shouldn't be a big deal. It's dumb. But a lot of Twitter users were like, "Oh, look at how plain that menu is. Clearly, it shows developers don't care about the
Yeah.
game. This. Oh, look at this
Oh
awful
my
menu."
god. Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. You just keep talking. I'm gonna get rid of that music. It was on a loop. They've changed the
Oh, it doesn't it
they've
Yeah!
they've changed the icons so you can't tell if the repeat is on or off. It used to just say on or off. Now they've like
Oh,
tried to get clever with like, is it blue or is it gray? It's like, well, gray is supposed to be off, but it's actually on.
anyways, yeah. So there was a big, like, minor Twitter controversy about that of people going, "Oh, this menu looks plain," and then everyone else dunking on them going, "Oh yeah, look at this menu. This menu sucks for like other games." The Dark Souls menu there's nothing about that. The Armored Core 6 menu is like, here's Armored Core 6 and a bunch of options. Like and then from there, I guess there were more leaks. Like the intro leaked, video about like the first couple minutes. I think The Verge or Ars Technica had like a write up describing what happens basically. Um, and so that got Bethesda all in a tiff because
Guys,
Bethesda
Nickerson,
is
not, and for good reason. I mean,
for
they made
some
a
good
big deal
reason.
about how they don't want anybody to talk about it,
Yes,
but
and also
this is the
Bethesda
time
is
they actually
notoriously litigious.
they're notoriously litigious, and they notoriously don't give out review copies well in advance of the end of the embargo. So they don't give
Yes.
you enough time to actually play it to be able to break the embargo.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
didn't this time. They gave everybody 2 weeks, but they said it's an embargo and you get 8 hours before the release date to say something. And uh and people broke it. And that's the thing. That's what makes me mad is that people that had the luxury of having 2 weeks, knowing that that was a luxury, an unusual luxury given by Bethesda, decided to spit in their face about it. Because all they're going, and keep in mind, it's not like review copies of Starfield were just falling out of the sky. This was a privilege of your position. And they were actually extending you a courtesy they haven't before. And they decided to fuck it up for everyone for the future. That's what makes me angry. It's not that
Yeah.
you can get the scoop or you can feel so great about releasing it. It's like at what cost to not just you, but everybody. Frustrating.
And so on that, I didn't see this one, but you had this, that the Starfield leaker is booked on felony charges.
Yes, he was. All right. Yeah, I might as well hit it. So, yeah, it wasn't just him. It was another leaker as well.
Yeah,
So we'll
and
fit
I will
this
say, like,
first one.
the menu leak and the video leak, I think that was done by a group of people or someone. It wasn't one person, and so I think this
Yeah, it was a
guy.
number of people just deciding that they wanted to like, "Hey, look at me. I got something you don't have." And it's like, great, fabulous, wonderful. Now nobody's gonna have it. Thanks."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, let's hit the Starfield one. So, there was a guy who leaked the first 45 minutes of Starfield. It was 45 minutes of gameplay that he leaked. A guy named Dan Harris. He is a 29-year-old man who leaked the first 45 minutes of the game earlier. I guess it was last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, but fairly recently. So he actually, I don't think he was given a copy. I think that he acquired a copy by nefarious means
Hmm.
because he even took it a step further beyond leaking that 45 minutes of gameplay. He started reportedly listing the stolen copies of the game for sale online.
That's where you cross the line.
Yeah, so according to the website for Shelby County, Tennessee, which I'm assuming is where Mr. Harris lives, there's the sheriff's office there. He was arrested on the 24th. So that was what? Today, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday. And that was just a few days after leaking the footage. And this was reported by Kotaku first before anybody else, that they found it. So the site, also the Shelby County Sheriff's Office website also confirmed that Dan Harris is facing one felony charge for possession of stolen property. That's where possession of stolen property worth $2,500 to $10,000. A misdemeanor charge for possession of stolen property worth $1,000 or less, and a misdemeanor charge for possession of marijuana. So the booking record didn't mention Starfield by name, but it's pretty clear that the Starfield leak was $2,500. Now, obviously, they booked him for those. The sale of the property, because that was just possession. They have not
Mm.
sale, so more could probably be coming, and they're probably looking for more evidence for that. But yeah, he essentially stole the copy, released the first 45 minutes of the game online, and then he went on to sell stolen copies of the game through his Mercari account.
Mm.
Mercari account, at least a few days ago, was still active. He removed all of his social media where he was like, "Look what I did." That disappeared, but his Mercari account is still there, and it does still show several copies of the game listed as sold. He even went so far as to show social media video of him making content of him going to the, um going to the post office to mail these stolen copies. Uh, but he also has other items on that Mercari account that are items for sale from the Constellation Edition. So he either got multiple copies or he got one copy, several copies of the Constellation Edition,
And,
or
like, sold it piecemeal?
sold it out piecemeal.
Hmm.
So, yeah, he went to he was actually going to, not to the post office, but to FedEx. He was shipping. He filmed himself going to FedEx to ship out the orders. So, the Mercari account, yeah, is still up. It still shows evidence that he was selling Starfield copies. It still shows evidence that he sold copies. You can't buy any of them obviously now, but they're still there. Now, he got busted for a felony charge. The other leaker was the GTA 6 leaker. This was actually a hacker who hacked GTA, essentially hacked in and was able to confirm, and release excerpts of GTA 6. He is an 18-year-old from Oxford, England. He was identified as a member of an international cybercrime group called, what is the name of it? I can't find the name. What is the name of it? Anyway, it was this group that was known. Lapis. Lapsus is the name of the organization. So that organization has been responsible for a series of hacks. This is not the first one, and they always targeted major companies. They targeted Nvidia. They targeted Uber. And then in this case, they targeted Rockstar Games, where they got some information on GTA 6 and released it. And they were trying to blackmail all of these companies. In fact, they had demanded $4 million ransom from the UK
Hmm.
mobile service provider EE when they hacked them. So this was not like some guy. This was serious stuff. So, so the name of this kid, 18-year-old, his name is Arian Kurtaj. And here's the thing, when he busted into Grand Theft Auto 6, he was out on bail
Oh, no.
for breaking into other companies. And
Oh.
he did it from a Travelodge hotel using an Amazon Fire Stick that he had found.
Hmm.
So
Low tech but effective.
hey, anything in the wrong hands can be a weapon. Or I guess I would say that would be the right hands. But currently, psychiatrists are evaluating this guy. They have psychiatrists have deemed him unfit to stand trial. Doesn't mean they're not going to put him on trial, but he's absent from the court proceedings currently. And they're trying to determine his culpability rather than assessing his criminal intent because they've deemed him unfit to stand trial. He is not the only person to have been busted. Kurtaj is currently in custody in the UK. Another person that was also busted was a 17-year-old, so they didn't release his name. A 17-year-old who is also on the autism spectrum, which is why the guy was not deemed fit to stand trial because he's apparently on the autism spectrum. But the other 17-year-old also on the spectrum is facing convictions for participating in other lapsus operations. That kid's out on bail. So yeah, and Brazilian authorities have apprehended another guy that they suspect being a member of Lapsus and being involved in this. So yeah, people are getting caught. Granted, this guy clearly, well, he was on the spectrum. Possibly that had played something into it of him not having a true understanding that he was out on bail and this is some serious charges and it's not to be messed with, and still went to a travel lodge with a fire stick and decided to break into Rockstar. So yeah, that happened. This is one of those, man, I've heard this phrase more times in the last couple of weeks, and I don't know why. Fucked around and found out. Both of them did.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess I should have named this week in the fucked around and found out department. Both of these guys fucked around and found out. All of these guys, not just both, it's multiples. Fucked around and found out. So,
okay. Hang on. I need to.
Don't fuck around and you won't find out. Especially with leaks, with big companies like Rockstar who have the kind of money to, and even Bethesda have the kind of money to throw around to make sure you find out. And I think that also it's kind of interesting, especially with the Starfield guy, is that it was actually within days, and it was the sheriff's department that showed up at his door and raided his house, which is I'm assuming they raided his house since they found marijuana. Yeah, that he was busted within days by the local sheriff, which means that Bethesda's not fucking around.
Yeah,
if they see your shit, they're going to get the cops involved, and the cops will arrest you, and you will be spending time in pound in the ass prison. Maybe not prison, but you'll certainly be paying time in pound in the ass jail.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my story. What have you got?
I've got, let's see. Oh,
I'm really surprised you don't have anything in there about the Baldur's Gate controversy. I figured you'd grab that.
I don't think I know about that.
Man, I have to think about it. It was like an article that was written by, I want to see somebody maybe at Kotaku about how like developers are angry that Baldur's Gate is so good.
I think we talked about that before.
Did we? No, because this is really kind of blown up in the last few days. And it's like it's catching a lot of heat. And I honestly think it's somewhat warranted, also somewhat not.
No, it's an interesting situation that if you try to boil it down into headlines and tweets, always comes off bad.
You know what it reminds me of? Okay, so I wish I had all the details on it, but it was essentially an article, and I'm sure that AC Wraith, you'll be able to locate this information for me, about the Baldur's Gate article. There we go. Okay, that's the "Don't turn it into a weapon" article. What's the original one about how Baldur's
Well,
Gate
I know the
being so
original
good has
thing.
made other developers angry about it?
I know the
And
original thing
essentially
was a tweet that came out before the game was released that basically said, "Hey, don't use this as a new standard for RPGs because it had a unusually long development time. It had a lot of resources. It had 3 years of early access. It had benefits that a lot of other developers don't. So it's unfair to those other developers to use this as the new standard going forward."
yeah, but the I think that the point that the article wasn't making that this is a new standard, why developers might be
Yeah,
angry
that
about
that
it,
that's
was that it is a game that is wildly successful and making a ton of money without
Mhm.
microtransactions, without being
Mm,
a live service, without all of the things that we hate. And the fact that there is so much pushback because many of them are, developers, like individual, like the developers of these games, not the publishers. The developers saying, I think it's great. That's not what the article was saying. The article was saying companies like EA,
mhm.
they're happy, probably,
Oh,
that
I
they have
see.
this really popular game that's making shit tons of money, that is going to make shit tons of money for a very long time, that could possibly be the most profitable game ever. And it
I
doesn't
don't know
have
about that.
all of these things that you keep saying that absolutely we need. We need to have microtransactions. We need to have an online store. We need to have seasons. We need to have a season pass. We need to have microtransactions of all kinds. It needs to be live action service. That's what he was saying. And it kind of smacks to me, and I wish I could remember the woman's name. I'm sure AC Wraith will be able to pull her name up. Do you remember and I've brought it up here before. Remember the McDonald's coffee lawsuit with the
Mm,
woman who got burned?
yes.
And then it became like essentially the poster child of like spurious consumer lawsuits as
Yeah, frivolous
somebody
lawsuits.
frivolous lawsuit. She sued McDonald's because the coffee was too hot.
Mhm.
And if you actually look at what happened to her and the whole story, you realize that McDonald's should have been sued,
That
should,
it
and how
actually was
little
too hot.
it not only was too hot, that the amount of money that was quoted was 1 day of coffee sales for the
Mm,
company. It wasn't that it was hundreds of millions of dollars. It was 1 day of coffee sales for a woman that had tried just to get that multiple people had had burns like this, like needing skin graft
yes,
burns
I believe
for a
that she got
very
third-degree
long time.
burns.
Right. But this had been done before. They knew about this problem. They knew about the problem.
Mhm.
They essentially just paid people pittance when they were seriously burned. And she came to them and said, I actually had third-degree burns in my private parts, and I was in the I need multiple surgeries so I can pee straight.
Mhm.
Can you just cover some some of my medical expenses? I mean, my insurance paid for most of it, but I've got like $6,000 that I can't personally pay for that is my deductible. Can you just pay my deductible? And and McDonald's refused. And that's why they got sued. She sued them. And she didn't ask for all that money. It was the jury that gave it to her, and it was 1 day coffee sales for the company. But not Microsoft, McDonald's PR team, specifically, they were the ones who got all that story into the news with the angle of she got burned by hot coffee and she made $300 million.
Mhm.
They were the ones that spun this false narrative that it was a frivolous lawsuit. And because it benefited them, it made them look like they were the victim when it was actually them who had been mutilating people for a very long time and never paying for it. That's what this feels like. This feels like somebody wrote an article pointing out how publishers should be shaking in their shoes that Baldur's Gate is as good and as popular and will be as profitable as it is without all the things that they say they have to have in order for a game to be profitable enough to make.
Mhm.
And that the publishers have gotten into the ears of enough people to spin the narrative to take that article out of context and turn it into developers hate the game because it's so good.
Mm. I see what you mean.
That's what I think is happening here.
I can see that because I know the timeline of events. There was the original tweet that was like, "Hey, I don't want players to make this a new standard because it's had a unique development cycle." And a bunch of other developers going like, "Yes, this is true." It had the freedom of early access. It had the freedom of, the developer being able to set the date and not being on a timeline set by a publisher. Um, and then I think after it came out, you probably saw more things like what you're talking about, where people are saying, "Hey, this is great because it doesn't have a lot of microtransactions and all that stuff."
And
And
they could
so
have they
it's
could have put the microtransactions in there. Absolutely. It's such a
oh,
good
I'm sure
game.
they
They
could have.
could have, and they
Yeah.
still would have been fine. But the problem is they didn't need to.
And I think I've seen a lot of specific people, a lot of specific comparisons between it and Diablo 4,
Mhm.
because Diablo 4 is another very popular RPG that came out just like a couple months earlier.
And microtransacted to fuck all. Oh my
Yes.
god. Yeah. Yeah, that's a reason why I really, really think that at least some of this, taking that whole idea of new standard and whole idea of, hey, this doesn't have microtransactions, and kind of mixing and matching so that it becomes this kind of Frankenstein's monster of an argument that makes people angry.
Mhm.
Because
Is it I
that's
think
correct. It's
I
correct
I do
that
think though.
EA should be looking at this and maybe rethinking its whole bullshit, and Epic
Sure.
and everybody else should be looking Activision. Well, I mean, Activision doesn't care, but all of them that run this bullshit on us and try and nickel and dime us and squeeze every penny out of us. Diablo with its bullshit stuff that it's doing.
Mhm. I do think, I don't think any average players have negative thoughts about Baldur's Gate though because of the story. I think if anything,
Mm-mm.
whatever spin tried to happen didn't work because like people aren't going to be upset. People aren't
People still
upset
buy
with
Big
it.
Macs. Exactly. People still buying the Big Mac, and that's fine. But it doesn't change that somebody's out there spinning a narrative that I
Well,
don't
I think
think is
trying to.
trying to spin a narrative to make sure that no journalist ever says that again. That when the
Mhm.
entire, like, industry turns on you publicly and you get taken to task for something, and when the screaming at you is so loud that you can't say, "But I didn't say that," it shuts somebody down. So they never say anything again.
I mean, I think we will see a fresh round of comparisons on September 5th
Yeah,
when it comes out for console and people compare it directly with Starfield.
yeah.
Especially because Starfield also had a pretty long development cycle. And so then it's like, hey, look at both of these games, compare the complexity of one with the complexity of others.
But that if anybody, I mean, dare I say, heaven forbid, like somebody from Bethesda starts filling up my inbox with hate, but I think Bethesda should be worried.
I mean, at the risk of being unfair, yes, I think you could say that because look, we've seen videos of Starfield. Have you seen those character models? Have you seen the character models in Baldur's Gate?
Yeah,
Just look at them. It's
yeah,
very clear, like, oh yeah, Starfield is like, oh yeah, you still got that Oblivion kind of plasticky look.
yeah, but it's not just the look. I mean, there are some amazing games that looked bad.
Oh yeah,
And
and
it's not all on looks.
and
It's on everything
the
else.
tricky thing is that those are both very different types of RPGs,
Mhm,
right? Like Baldur's Gate is designed to be a very kind of narratively and mechanically intricate thing. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of mechanical interactions. My ability to push things changes how I interact with the world in very
right.
significant ways. I think Starfield is much more about exploration.
Mhm,
And so it cares less about the complexity and intricacy of its mechanics and more about creating open spaces for you to explore.
right. And and I think that I only say that Starfield needs to be or Bethesda needs to be a little concerned is because they know what they're up against at this point. They
Yeah.
know what they're
I
up
do think
against.
it's interesting. You had mentioned before about how normally Bethesda holds their games for review until the release date. With Starfield, they recently changed that so that people will get review copies 2 weeks in advance and the embargo will lift 1 week in advance.
No, it's a few hours, 8 hours.
Oh, was it? Okay,
8
well
hours.
then maybe they just got the review copies in advance,
They got the review copies in
which
advance,
is
but the
still
embargo lifts in
different.
8 hours before the release time.
Okay, but that's still different than what they usually do. And I think that might be because Baldur's Gate came out for PC about a month ago. And so you've basically had the past month of people hyping up that game because it's
Right,
been in the news a whole lot.
right.
And so going into the console release date for both games, Baldur's Gate is coming in with a lot more hype, at least in like the hardcore gamer circles,
Yeah.
because people have already been talking about it. People have been
We we
streaming
know
it.
we know this is a good
Podcasters
game.
have been talking about it. Like it's been on the whole industry's mind for the past month.
We know that this is if you haven't touched it yet, everybody on console knows this is gonna be a game that's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a sure thing for us.
Yeah, it's a sure thing versus Starfield, which is still like,
Right.
oh,
That's
how's it going to be?
right, but do you think that that played a role into them giving, reviewers more time just so that they could head off this, like so that they could give these reviewers more time to
I
actually spend some time and get to love it more, or
I think that's my conspiracy thinking is
Mhm.
that Bethesda's like, okay, we're gonna release the same day as this other one. We need to build some hype of our own.
Well, if that's the case, then honestly, all these people that are leaking screens,
You're right. They should be embracing it.
they shouldn't be embracing it.
No, they
They
should
should
be
be
embracing it.
exactly what they're doing because
They
that
should
makes
be
news.
they
If
should be
they were embracing it
embracing it
no,
so
they
that we see more of the game and the hype for the game gets out.
no, no, they're
Yes.
doing exactly what they should be doing,
They're
is
trying to
they're
do
creating controversy because 'cause that's got way more
nah,
legs. What are if everybody was saying it's leaked and it looks good, that would be the end of our conversation. The fact that it was
but
leaked
that
and
would
people got
build hype for
arrested
the
and
5th.
facing felonies and they're angry about screens and people then arguing about, well, look at this screen and look at that is way, way more legs than
But
if it had
that's
just
just
been,
a
oh, that
news
screen looks
story.
fine.
That's a news story that fades away in a week. If people were, like, putting up screenshots and videos of the game and saying, "Look, it's really, really good," that builds hype for the 5th because that gets people invested in saying, "You know what I'm gonna do on the 5th? I'm going to play Starfield." Right now, knowing that video got leaks and someone got arrested doesn't make me excited for the game. It
Oh,
just makes me
makes me wanna play the
aware
first
of the game.
45 minutes of the game so I could say, "He got arrested for this? He faces felonies for this?" The forbidden 45 minutes. This 45 minutes cost a man his freedom.
But we know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be what Bethesda always is, in
Minutes of a
that
video game, yeah.
you're gonna start in a confined area, you're gonna go
Yeah.
through a little bit of adventure, build your character, and then
Then
the
you're gonna run
intros
around a little bit.
but then the intro's gonna end with you opening some door and, like, seeing a wide world. You coming out of the caves of Oblivion, you
Exactly.
coming out of the vault in Fallout.
Exactly. Otherwise, that 45 minutes never would have made a blip. It wouldn't be in the news, but now it's in the news. First, from it being being released. Second, from the guy being arrested. Third, for the felony charges.
Okay, no, you
That's
know what?
great.
You know what? I say we go all the way down this rabbit hole. Let's go all the way. You know
Mia.
what? I'm getting a shovel and I am taking us deeper.
All right,
This
let's
is
go.
all a false
Let's go.
flag operation.
That's I think it is too. I think it is.
Mhm. The guy who leaked it,
Wait. You just keep talking. You just keep talking.
Bethesda, the guy who leaked like the Bethesda who got arrested for it, he wasn't really arrested for it. It was all just a show. It was all a scam. All just a means of gaining publicity. Bethesda is behind every Bethesda's behind it all. They planned for him to leak the intro. They even planned for the start menu controversy.
You were saying?
Bethesda.
Nope. This is backwards. This is backwards. Not backwards. All right. What were you saying?
Todd Howard shot JFK.
I honestly, I would not. I don't know if it'd be a tin. They don't need to run a false flag on this one. They
He
just
put on a tinfoil hat, like a literal tinfoil hat.
this fashion choice stayed to you by Reynolds Wrap. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's false flag. However, that being said, hold on a second. I can't see. That being said, they really didn't need to do a false flag. All they needed to do is just, make sure a copy was maybe, left out. Like the iPhone left at a bar.
Oops, I just left this opened copy of Starfield on this bar.
Oops.
Oopsies.
Oopsie.
I just happened to leave this USB with a finished game on it.
Yep, exactly. All right. Can I get rid of my tinfoil hat now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, no.
Wait. Oh.
So we finally have an answer. Can you hear me? Oh, wait, you can't hear me? I can't hear you. I think you're muted. I can't hear you. Say something? No, I have no sound coming from you. Maybe the tinfoil is getting in the way of the audio. See, tinfoil hat ruins podcast people. Don't be don't be conspiracy people. Don't be conspiracy theorist. Nope. I can't hear you. Okay, wait, she's pushing, but there we go. Now I get sound.
Now. Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Now
No,
I hear you.
I actually hit the mute button on the screen, not on my headset.
Oh.
Thing.
So we finally have one answer to solve one mystery, but that just invites more questions.
Okay.
We now have an answer as to who screwed over the Embracer Group of $2 billion.
Oh, that's not tin hat conspiracy. Well, it was a bit of a tin hat
It was,
conspiracy.
but now we have to question, why did Saudi Arabia pull out?
Yeah, that's the thing. All right. So
Because
we
Saudi
we talked about
Arabia,
we thought it was Amazon.
we thought it
You
was
and I both
Amazon.
bet cash money it was well, I mean, cash
Yeah.
money. It was Amazon. It wasn't Amazon. It was the Saudi Arabians.
And the thing is, this comes from a Saudi fund that was developed specifically for the purposes of getting more into gaming, because Saudi Arabia is like big into spending money to rehabilitate their image.
Yeah.
Let's
I mean, they've
host a
been buying
sporting event.
golf
Let's buy
organizations
golf.
and yeah, exactly.
And so like this $2 billion was specifically meant to like shore up a lot of game development.
Mhm.
Uh and so then the fact that they pulled out the last minute, like, that invites more questions. Why did a fund meant specifically for game development pull out of a game development deal?
Yeah. At not only at the last minute, the night before the big announcement in front of the stockholders.
Mhm.
And that, sir, is exactly what I thought. Remember we were talking about tin hat conspiracies, and I'm like, maybe Amazon did this specifically because they wanted Embracer to go out of business so that they could get hold of their IPs.
Mhm.
Now I'm even more suspicious of that. Because that's a really, really good way of getting your hands on your own company. So it's no longer some company. Where's Embracer's what? Sweden? Finland?
Yeah, Nordic, I think?
Yeah,
No,
somewhere. No,
that might be THQ.
no THQ is yeah, but also they're also I think in like Sweden.
Yeah, Swedish.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swedish.
So instead of it being a Swedish gaming company that they own a portion of or have a partnership with, they can get their hands on all of the goodies and make it a Saudi Arabian company, with Saudi Arabia being the owner of all of these IPs. Bring it in-house. There's a reason why Saudi Arabia, doesn't buy Russian gas. They got enough of it their own.
Yeah.
Same thing with games. The reason why they probably didn't put in and it was actually a huge amount of money. It was like $32 billion?
For what?
Uh, no, I'm sorry. They committed to investing so the name of the company is called Savvy.
Yeah, Savvy Games
Savvy
Group.
Games Group. That is part of the Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. So this was actually a on the board is the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
Mhm.
So it's like it is the Saudi government, not just Saudi Arabians. It is Saudi Arabia, and it's part of their public investment fund. And they were apparently investing $38 billion into the gaming industry. And in April 2023, they said they were buying mobile game company Scopely for $4.9 billion. So why spend $2 billion on a partnership when you can essentially crater the company, get all their stuff on the cheap in liquidation, and start your own company with the rest of your $38 billion that you're going to
Mm.
spend on making games? Why rent the cow when you can buy it for cheap?
I mean, or they could just buy Embracer. I mean, that's practically what they did with golf. They set up
That
a
is
whole
what they
rival
did with the golf.
golf league and then were like, "Nah, let's just join forces."
Right. That's what they did with the golf league. Well, Embracer, I'm sure they probably had conversations about why don't we just buy you? And Embracer's like, yeah, I don't know. Let's just have a partnership. Let's just be friends.
That could be.
And they're like, okay, let's just be friends. Oh, by the way, night before the investor a stockholders meeting where you're essentially the most important meeting when it comes to cratering your stock. The night before, we're going to pull out of this deal.
See, I told you you needed the tinfoil hat on.
I don't think that's
It
I
just
don't think
invites
that's
more
it. I don't think
speculation.
that's tinfoil hat. I think that I mean, maybe that's the whole problem with tinfoil hat people is that they don't realize that they're being tinfoil hat. I think that that is exactly what Savvy was doing.
Hmm.
They were trying to make Embracer either go out of business or make their stock so cheap that the Saudis could come in and buy all the stock and do an Elon Musk. Offer a price and everybody sells to it and it becomes privately owned by the Saudi Arabian government. So I think I was right in that tinfoil hat conspiracy. I'm even now more convinced that my original assertion, but it was Amazon. And you and I were like, why would Amazon do that? Amazon already has its game studio. That doesn't make any sense. But it does when you're talking about Saudi Arabia.
I still think Todd Howard shot JFK.
Careful, they're pretty litigious.
I'm not saying anything bad about Bethesda or ZeniMax. Bethesda and ZeniMax are wonderful companies, paragons of virtue. But Todd Howard is a sociopathic assassin.
Not like Todd Howard doesn't have enough money to sue you into oblivion.
See? Because he's a sociopath.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out.
We'll see what Embracer does. I'm curious how they it
was Axios that released it. I'm interested to know how Axios found out.
I just know that Axios has sources, right? According to sources by Axios is kind of all we get.
I don't know.
And look, Axios, that's where Jason Schreier works, right? Like it makes sense that
Jason Schreier works at.
Is he Bloomberg?
Bloomberg.
I know Axios has like one really huge guy there. Axios Gaming.
Who is it?
Stephen Totillo.
That's right, Totillo. Yeah. I mean, whenever you say sources, and the fact that it wasn't known immediately also tells me that, like sometimes leaks are not leaks. Or I should say, sometimes sources are not like telling stuff they shouldn't have it in order to tell. And I'm not certain that the fact that we actually know it was Saudi Arabia means that Saudi Arabia is ramping up or Saudi Arabia is winding down and realizing that Embracer isn't going to go out of business. And so they just don't want it now. So they're willing to be known at this point. Honestly, given Saudi Arabia's record with, human rights and
everything,
murdering journalists, given their history, I would venture to guess that the reason why we know it's Saudi Arabia is because Saudi Arabia is okay with us knowing. There's no way that Stephen Totillo got that scoop on freaking Saudi Arabia. And if he did,
I'm sure there's some employee at Embracer who knew about the deal that could have leaked it, right?
Possibly, but why wouldn't they leak it right away? Because Saudis weren't coming back. Because the Saudis were trying to buy your company is what they were doing.
Maybe they left.
They were trying to take over your company.
Maybe they just decided now's a good time.
They're just walking away. They're not going to go after it. Maybe now. Either that or they're definitely going back. It's either yes or no. That's your option. Yes or no. You heard it here first. The answer is yes or no.
But speaking of other corporate shenanigans,
they have no. Why are there no redheads in South Korea? They have no soul.
But they do have a soul.
Goalie.
But right?
Yeah.
Soul is in Korea.
Yeah.
So they do have one.
Yes.
But they all share one. All South Koreans share one soul.
They one soul. Yeah. AC Ray said Bloomberg indeed because he writes all the stuff I can't link directly to. I know.
Yeah, that's Schreier.
AC Ray, should I just get you a subscription to Bloomberg?
Hmm. But like I was saying, in other corporate shenanigan news, Microsoft has been shuffling some cups and dollar bills around in order to get past the CMA's hesitance of the Activision merger.
Mhm.
And they have basically agreed to sell all of Activision streaming rights to Ubisoft.
To Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
Ubisoft. I believe that's a South Korean developer. No, that's a Saudi Arabian developer.
That's a Saudi Arabian developer, Ubisoft.
So yeah, basically what this means is if the CMA approves the deal, Ubisoft will get exclusive rights to stream all existing Activision games and Activision games released in the next 15 years. And the article I saw said that this agreement is in perpetuity. So that means that
Oh, wow.
Ubi basically Ubisoft will always have the exclusive right over Activision's catalog of over how to stream Activision's catalog of games, but that only includes all of the existing Activision games and all the Activision games that come out for the next 15 years.
Mhm.
So for a game that comes out 16 years from now, Ubisoft won't have the streaming rights to it. So if Activision puts out a game in 20 years, Ubisoft doesn't have the rights to stream that game. They just have the rights to stream all the
In
existing
perpetuity,
games.
everything 15 years from now and back.
Yes. Um, but that's Microsoft hopes that that will get around the CMA's hesitation.
We'll
Uh,
see.
but I think if anything, it just makes things worse because if they buy Activision,
Mhm.
that makes them the biggest publisher in the industry by a pretty significant margin.
Oh, yeah.
Like I actually looked up all the developers. That would mean they have about high like low 30 of developers, whereas the
Mhm.
next highest would be like Sony and EA that each have like 20, like mid 20s. So already that gives them a significant amount of influence over the industry, being the biggest publisher.
Mhm.
Now they're in financial bed with Ubisoft, which gives them even more influence. And so even
It
if this
actually doesn't it actually makes Microsoft more powerful, not less
yeah,
powerful.
like sure, if you're looking
Yeah.
at just the streaming things and just the market share, but if you look at their ability to influence things like the soft power, not hard power,
Mhm.
they have quite a lot of that.
Does Ubisoft actually have a streaming service?
Not that I know of. I know they have their digital distribution service, but I don't know if that streams anything.
It's kind of interesting. I guess Ubisoft, if this happens, would start a streaming service.
Or they just
Or
license
Microsoft.
or they just license all of those games to another streaming service. They just say, "Hey, Amazon Luna, would you like all these Activision games? Pay us and you can stream them.
See,
Hey, Nvidia, would you like to stream Activision games? Pay us."
it just seems strange why Microsoft wouldn't approach, like, Amazon and put it on Luna. Why
I
would
don't
they go
know.
to Ubisoft, a company that doesn't have any streaming capacities currently?
Maybe Ubisoft wants to make one, or maybe it's just so that maybe it's because Ubisoft doesn't have their own,
Mhm.
right? They don't want to give a potential streaming competitor too much power over them. So let's give it to someone who doesn't have a streaming service and they can just license the games. And then we can tell them, hey, Ubisoft, hey, Yves, don't license those games to Amazon. You can license them to Nvidia, but I would not appreciate it if you license it to Amazon. Wink, wink.
Yeah. It seems like a roundabout way to get where you wanna go. If they wanted
That's
it
why
to
I
go to
said it's.
NVIDIA, they should have just given it to NVIDIA.
I don't think they want it to go to Nvidia though. They want it to go to someone that they could be like, hey, buddy, can you do me a favor? Can you not license those games out? Okay, cool. Right? Because now,
It's not their responsibility.
yeah, now,
They aren't holding the keys to the car,
but
so,
the thing
it's
is,
not their fault if it drives somewhere or doesn't drive at all.
I think it works for them because, like I said, it's soft power. They're not
Yeah.
giving it to a rival. They're giving it to someone who they can then kind of be like, hey, we're not actually licensing this catalog out, but we can kind of whisper in Yeve's ear and tell him who to license this out to. So on paper, we don't own any of this. This is all Ubisoft. Ubisoft, it's all their responsibility. We have nothing to do with it, but we could if we wanted to. Again, more tinfoil hat.
I
This is the tinfoil episode.
yeah, I get it. This is the tinfoil hat episode. I could yes, I absolutely see that. And I am very much playing devil's advocate because I'm full on down what you're saying.
Your full tin hat. Put on
Oh,
another sheet. This is a 2 sheet
we're getting it out
tinfoil.
again. Getting a new one. I am full on in for this. However, that being said, and I am kind of throwing out the devil's advocate stuff
Mm-hmm.
just because. But the things I do for this show, I have no shame. Okay, so
Devil's advocate.
devil's advocate. If Ubisoft becomes like the streaming rights in perpetuity, inalienable, as directed by a government agency to meet a minimum standard to allow a sale to go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's to stop Ubisoft from, I don't know, giving it to whoever the fuck they want or selling it? I mean, I guess it's probably part of the license.
Yeah, maybe they can't sell license, but in
But
theory,
here's the thing is that
in
you cannot put into a contract that nothing can be sold in perpetuity. There's always got to be some end to it. That is a standard of contracts. You can never put anything in a sales contract that says this cannot be done with what you purchased forever or even for really long periods of time. So
hmm,
it's not going to be, if they do that, because they're going to sell the streaming rights, not license the streaming rights to Activision so they can sublicense it. They're going to sell it,
yes,
which means they have
correct.
absolutely no control over it. It is not owned by them. Contract law, you cannot put conditions on a sale that last in perpetuity, number one. And number two, all Activision would have to, or all Ubisoft would have to do to fuck up Microsoft big time is tell them, guess what Microsoft just told us? Guess what Microsoft is trying to do?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Would you like to see the emails of where they're trying to manipulate us? That is, that in Crusader Kings, it would be called a strong hook. You don't give out strong hooks like that to somebody who ostensibly maybe you're a friend now, but you don't know what they're going to be later, and certainly not somebody like the Gilmo brothers.
I don't know. The Gilmore brothers are kind of in a tricky place. They're desperate for
Right?
money.
They're also
The
really fucking shifty too. They're really fucking shifty. They're
and
they're not upstanding guys, and Microsoft, if they don't know it, should know that.
and like the truth is, yes, according to the sale, there's every possibility that Ubisoft could then say, we are going to license all the streaming rights to Sony so that they could put it on their service. And we could get a bunch of Activision in, like we could get Overwatch
Mhm.
streaming, which is already on Sony, but like any Activision published game, Modern Warfare 5, like we could get streaming on PlayStation. Oh, I'm sorry, that would probably already be on PlayStation because like
Oh,
Xbox signed that deal. You could get what's another Spyro the Dragon 8.
I'm pulling out 2 sheets for this one. We're getting 2 sheets for this.
I thought we were already 2
Oh
sheets
no,
in.
no, no, no. This is a full 2-sheeter. All right,
Okay.
full 2-sheeter.
Yeeves is Todd Howard. They're the same person.
What would happen if Ubisoft went out of business?
I guess those rights,
Get liquidated.
yeah, because they probably wouldn't revert, because if they reverted,
Then
then
it's not a sale.
yeah. So yeah, they'd probably be open to whoever else could purchase it.
What would happen if Saudi Arabia approaches Ubisoft for a $20 billion deal?
I mean, you know what? Saudi has invested in Ubisoft. They're already there. This Saudi Arabia has bought Yves Guillemot and is like, hey, you are now all puppet. So now all of this,
that's way more believable than anything that we've said so far.
this is all like the Savvy Games group. They're like, we don't need Embracer anymore. We've got Ubisoft. And we've got the Activision streaming game. We're not going to spend $2 billion for B tier IPs with Embracer. We want Assassin's Creed, and we want like Overwatch and fuck. I can't, for some reason I'm blanking on every game Activision has ever made.
Now you're getting smart.
They did all this because the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is just a hardcore fan of the early aughts Activision superhero game Prototype.
Oh
And
yeah,
he
absolutely.
really wants a Prototype 3. And this is just his long roundabout way to get a Prototype 3.
Yep. I am full on making right now. This is such a tin hat conspiracy. I am making myself a tin hat Vikings helmet just because this is so good. There we go. Tin hat Vikings helmet on the way. Yeah, no, I think that it's not I mean it's a little tin hatty. Actually, it's definitely a multi-layer tin hat job. But the thing about tin hat conspiracies, it's possible. Not likely, but
now, you know what?
definitely possible.
In order to
And
keep on theme, we need to
weird
find a
things
way.
have happened.
We need to find a way to connect every other news story to Saudi Arabia.
We could do that. But probably would. That's not too hard to do. There we go. That's really not too hard to do. You know, it's really hard to craft in tinfoil. I will say that. It is very unforgiving. There we go. There's our tin hat Viking helmet. Yeah, no, I very much think that is not too far out from it's not too far out from the realm of possibilities because yeah, they already own a fairly significant share of Ubisoft. And if Ubisoft does go under, kind of like how Ubisoft almost actually wasn't Ubisoft almost got bought by Vivendi, and then Vivendi went under, and Ubisoft bought everything from Vivendi.
Yeah.
It's not like this hasn't been a very close call for Ubisoft in the past. And it's not like Ubisoft hasn't been involved in taking advantages of things like that. Because if it's sold to Ubisoft, it's not a sale if they can't resell it. It's just not a sale.
So it will be interesting to see how this all shakes out.
Oh yeah. All right. Next item.
In more Microsoft news,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft has officially ended production of Kinect for good.
Oh, is Goalie still in the chat? Viva la revolution.
So
Goalie.
part of this is that when they ended Kinect for Xbox, they
Uh-huh.
kept making a version of the Kinect camera for enterprise and like industrial and AI related stuff.
Right.
That was called Azure Kinect.
Right.
And it had like a better camera, basically better camera, better microphone, better everything because it was a more expensive thing because it was meant for companies, not
It's
individuals.
Oculus Pro for all
Yeah.
intents and purposes.
They have now officially stopped Azure Connect, ended production of it, and so there are now no more Connect products in Microsoft's pipeline.
I mean, I'm not sad, but I sort of am. It's been with us a really long time, even though none of us really used it more than a half second.
No, I had one. I reviewed a
I
couple
still have
games
one.
with it. Oh yeah, I've still got it too.
Yeah,
It's in a box in the closet.
I actually liked it for not for its actual purpose, but it was the first time I had voice control over YouTube, and I could say YouTube stop,
Yes,
YouTube play.
the voice control was cool.
Yeah, that actually worked really well. It was actually the first voice control because that predated Siri by a long shot.
Yeah, I think it did.
So it was the first voice control that we had on any technology. Speaking of which, I got a GoPro that streams.
Oh, you did? I'm just about to buy a. I think we were looking at the Hero 9.
That's what I just got with a Hero 9.
Excuse me.
Stand by. I want to show you something really cool.
Okay. Yeah, we've been looking at action cameras for filming stuff. And yeah, I think the GoPro 9 is surprisingly cheap overall. And it's like one of the few GoPros that can actually support live streaming,
Something
which
I didn't
most
know
don't.
about the GoPro. Oh god, it's so nice. So
Hmm.
it's the Hero 9. You can see that it's on right now, right?
Yeah.
GoPro, start recording.
Oh, cool.
GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, turn off.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's really nice, especially because I've been using it on my shoulder when I scooter to work, between the
Mm.
ferry and work because God, I mean, every single day, if it's especially since it's the summer and there's so many tourists, I have almost murdered whole families, not because I murdered them, but because they practically committed suicide in front of my scooter on the regular.
They just walked out in front of you.
It's a 2-lane bike lane on the main street. It's hard to miss that it is right there. There's bikes whizzing by all the time. I'm coming down with a bright red jacket and a bright lights out of the front of my bike, out of the front of my scooter, and a lighted helmet. And just they're oblivious, looking up in the sky, and the kids just stepping off the curb to look up at the like ferry building or something like that right in front of me. I have had to lock up. I haven't had to lay down the scooter, but I've had to lock up the scooter and go sideways to keep from hitting people multiple times. And without a GoPro to actually show what they've done, if I hit them, then I'm on the hook for
Yeah.
whatever damage happens. We had a I wanna say a Dutch tourist? Maybe it was New Zealand, Australia, some tourist from somewhere, and rather an older gentleman who died after being in a coma for, like, 3 weeks. He finally died after getting hit by a scooter. Because we're going anywhere between 18 and 20 miles an hour. Some of them go fast, way faster than me. I've got one of the smart, faster scooters that goes 18, but I've seen people be going well over 20 coming down that road, and it's like stepping out in front of a car that's going 25, 20 miles an hour, but they
Anything
don't
going
see it
that
that way.
fast is gonna hurt you.
Anything like that fast is gonna hurt you, especially if it's another human being with, like, a I'm gonna get hurt, they're gonna get hurt, I've at least got a helmet on.
Mm,
But
yeah.
yeah, and I wanted to have photographic evidence They stepped in front of me so that I don't have to go to court and have them say, 50-50 chance. It's a he said, she said of who hit who. I want proof. So that's what I love because I just have it on my shoulder. When I'm getting off the ferry, it's like, GoPro, start recording. And it just starts recording. And when I get into work, I'm like, GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, turn off. Nice. Oh,
Good.
shut up. Yeah, sorry. GoPro, turn off.
Okay. I'm thinking what's next?
Okay, okay, I can do a next one now.
Okay.
My next one is Phantasmophobia. We talked about
Mm.
this a while ago that you and like when Phantasmophobia, I kind of want to play it with you, but at the same time I don't because all you're gonna do is terrorize me the whole time. You're gonna make me go in the building and then gonna lock the door and leave
I'm
me in
right
there with a
behind you,
ghost.
Edie. I'm right behind you. Don't worry.
That's exactly what you're gonna do.
Hey,
But
hey.
good news, bad news. Bad news for you, Nick. Good news for me. The phantasm. I always want to call it phantasmagoria, and that's not phantasmagoria. Phasmophobia for the console, supposed to release in October. But they have announced that they are having a delay. They're going to be delayed. And they're delayed for quality control reasons and polishing and all the same stuff, but also due to a quote unquote fire incident. So they said that they had a fire in their offices and that they said after careful consideration we made the tough decision to delay the console release initially set for August while we get everything sorted. Combination, in other words, not quite done, not quite ready. We needed it anyway. And we also had a fire in the office. I think the fire in the office is probably less of the reason, but yes, it is going to be delayed. They're now aiming for a special launch during the week leading up to Halloween this October, as opposed to the beginning of October. So it's going to be
Hmm.
just a couple of weeks, according to them. But yeah, it's going to be as it is. I'm not going to be able to play it with you in October anyway,
True.
because I'm going to be spending $4,000 with my dogs.
Oh, so I will say, I was thinking, and I guess I'll say this now. I was
Yeah.
thinking, since we won't be doing the podcast in October, instead I'll take that opportunity to just like stream horror games during this time slot instead.
Oh, what a great idea! Would you guys like that? Would you guys watching, would you like that? And instead of doing a regular podcast, Nick every Sunday, just as if we normally would, between 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, he streams horror games in the month of
Yeah,
October.
because there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out. There's Callisto Protocol and Dead Space. There's other horror games
There's
I've
The
got.
Forest.
Yeah, exactly. The Forest. Alan Wake comes out towards the end of that month.
Mm-hmm. And there is also now Phasmophobia.
Oh yeah, that would be out.
God, you can see even if you get play it with Chris.
Oh, that would be cool.
Because I mean that's half the fun with Phasmophobia is to play it multiplayer.
Yes.
And if it's cross-platform, you could play it with Chris and Chaos.
That would actually be the best case scenario.
That would be hilarious. I would wake up in the middle of the night in Bali. Because what time is it right now in Bali? Time in Bali right now. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. So I would have to wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning to watch it. But I would totally wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch you guys play Phasmophobia together.
AC Wraith says, I have no idea what the offer was. I said that since Edie's going to be gone through all October, I would stream horror games during this time slot instead. Specifically during this time slot, right? Because you kind of want to keep the time slot in people's memory. Like, what,
Right.
dude? Stop it!
Yeah, I
Oh my
think that
god!
that would be
Oh,
just
okay,
awesome if you did.
okay, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, and if anybody else has any opinions on that, we do have our Discord. Don't forget we would love to hear from you on the Discord. Uh, There it is right now, and if you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, I should believe it's also on the YouTube channel, but it's definitely on the front page of the Twitch channel if you're watching on Twitch. Go to our Discord, join our Discord server, go into general, tell us, what do you think of Nick playing, instead of we're doing a podcast of Nick playing horror video game or horror games every Sunday like we were normally doing a podcast, but instead it's just Nick previewing horror games.
AC Wraith, maybe Nick will play Warframe on PC with us.
Is that really a horror game? I don't know that that counts.
No,
I didn't think so.
no, I won't.
I didn't think so.
Anyways, new stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. Sony, jumping away from Microsoft, Sony has revealed their
Mhm.
handheld device, the streaming device, officially now named the PlayStation Portal. It will be $200,
Mhm.
and it basically is just a remote player for the PlayStation 5 console.
Right.
It doesn't have any internal hardware to play the games on itself. It's just meant for streaming games from the PlayStation 5. Um,
Mhm.
and before we knew it was coming out, but we didn't know the price. And now we know it's $200, which, excuse me, is a little on the high end for
Mhm.
such a limited device, but also not as high as I think some people were worried they could push it. It's definitely a little too high for me to like go and outright buy it, at least immediately. I know I like the idea.
Mhm.
I like the idea of, hey, if Rachel wants to watch something on TV, I could still play a PlayStation 5 game.
Right.
Right? Like that's fine by me. Come December, she really likes watching a whole bunch of Christmas movies in December.
Right.
Right? It's a big tradition. I don't want to see most of those movies, so like I could
I
either
don't blame you.
break out the Switch, or if I had this, I could play some PlayStation 5 games, and that's cool.
Right.
But I don't know if it's $200 cool. Like that's a very limited use case.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think there is a use case for this product. I don't think it's a bad product, but I don't know if that use case is worth $200. I know I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of people saying it's really good for parents, especially parents for like newborns, because like, hey, you have to be in the room, you want to watch your child, and instead of being locked on in front of the television, you could now play something and watch your kid kind of at the same time. And again,
Mhm.
it makes sense. There's a specialized use case for this,
Right.
but it's also a very specialized use case. It's a very niche product.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking that I mean, it's not useful for me in the least because there's nobody else in my house.
Hmm.
Uh, I could see it. Actually, I could see that this would be really, really, really good for people like a family.
Yeah.
And do we have a release date on that? Because if it's around Christmas, it would definitely be a good like cash grab for Christmas for parents to give their kids. But I don't really see this as being like a
I
something that
don't
everybody like a must have for everybody.
No, no. Um, and look, I say this as someone who went out and bought the PSVR 2 day one.
Yeah.
This is not a day one purchase.
No.
I
Not
don't
at
think we have a release date, but people suspect it will be in November.
all. Mhm.
It will definitely ship in 23.
Well, then yeah, it would be a Christmas buy. And that's probably what's gonna be. It's a the box that you're gonna give your teenager for Christmas so that I can watch my telenovelas or my K-dramas at night so my kid can play the PlayStation without, like, wanting a TV in his room.
Hmm.
Her room. Alright,
This news story is for
mhm,
you.
mm,
BioWare laid off 50 people recently,
yeah,
and they basically said that this is to let's see the actual quote. It will allow our developers to iterate quickly, unlock more creativity, and form a clear vision of what we're building before development ramps up. This is in order that these layoffs were necessary in order to make Bioware a more agile and focused approach to game development. In
Mhm.
order to meet the needs of our upcoming projects, continue to hold ourselves to the highest standard of quality, and ensure Bioware can continue to thrive in an industry that's rapidly evolving, we must shift towards a more agile and more focused studio. I don't know why that means
That
laying off
sounds
50 people.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of bullshit. It's yeah, it's obviously written by some comms person.
It does. And they claim that Dreadwolf, Dragon Age Dreadwolf, is unaffected by this, but it's kind of hard not to see how it wouldn't be.
Mhm.
Normally, a game in development ramps up in headcount instead of ramping down.
Right.
And if anything, I've seen people speculate that if anything, what this means is more people will be taken off of the Mass Effect team and put onto Dreadwolf instead.
Yeah, I think that that's 'cause the more information we're getting about Dreadwolf, and it's not, specific information regarding Dreadwolf itself, but ancillary information regarding development issues with Dreadwolf, the more that I think that Dreadwolf is in real trouble.
Yeah,
I It's kinda funny, you compare it something like Baldur's Gate that has been in the works and been developed for a really, really long time, and it came out fantastically, and then we're looking at Dreadwolf and the nightmare that that has been. Oh, I am not a developer. That being said, you kinda get a feel after a while of what a really good game feels like from a third person perspective of the development cycle. Baldur's Gate always seemed like it was kind of working, like, you could tell, and it's any kind of team. When everybody's clicking, it works, and that is exactly the opposite of what I feel from
yeah.
Dreadwolf at this point, what I feel from anything
But
out of them right now.
Baldur's Gate 3 had a long development time. It had 6 years of development, but it was like, "Hey, here's our pitch for the game. Here's our design document. Let's spend 6 years working on this design."
Mhm.
Dreadwolf is like, "Let's spend 2 years working on this design. Oh shit. Okay, we don't like this. Let's start over again."
Crown it up, throw it out. Yep,
2
exactly. Start
years,
over.
then 2 years later, "Shit, we don't like this again. Let's throw out all of this." Like,
Yep.
Dreadwolf has had probably I don't know if it's had 6 years, maybe even more time in development, but a lot of that time is kind of wasted because it's been reset so many times.
This and so many people have left and been fired and then brought back and then left again and brought back
Mhm.
again. It seems so chaotic. And if this game had a good, clear idea of what it wanted to be with people making decisions that were good decisions and everybody was pulling in the same direction, you wouldn't be seeing this.
Yeah, and
This feels like Anthem. This feels like what the whole lack of, like, a firm guiding hand and a good
mhm.
idea of what the game where they wanted to make was doing. That was the problem with Anthem. I think that's the problem with Dreadwolf. I don't think that they know what they wanna do. I don't think they have a story. I don't think they have an idea of gameplay, and I don't think this is gonna be good, and it breaks my heart because I love that series so much.
I think that comparing whenever Dreadwolf comes out, I think it'll be interesting comparing it to Baldur's Gate, specifically because I feel like Dragon Age is an example of like trying to make a game like Baldur's Gate, but in the corporate gaming sphere instead of the indie gaming sphere, which is
Mhm,
what Larian is. Like Larian is their studio. Like it's kind of they are their own publisher. And they're kind of a big indie studio, but they're still an indie studio. And so
mhm.
that gives them the freedom to kind of iterate on the game as they see fit. They're not serving these investor deadlines.
Right.
So they have the freedom to kind of iterate and put the game into early access and spend all that time working on it.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to see what Dreadwolf is, because Dragon Age basically began its life as a CRPG, has a console CRPG, much in the vein of Baldur's Gate. I mean, hell, BioWare made Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Right.
Like, it's in their DNA.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, this is Baldur's Gate. No, Dragon Age 4 is like, what if EA made Baldur's Gate 3? And I
Right.
think a lot of the development trouble that it's been going through stems from that idea of, hey, EA wants to make Baldur's Gate 3, but they also want to make it a live service game. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, it's two very conflicting design philosophies of Dragon Age has always been an epic single player RPG, but how do we microtransaction that up? How do we live service that up?
Mhm.
And I think what you're seeing with its development hell is those two ideas fighting with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Just makes me so mad. Just makes me so mad, especially considering that I know that the first draft that they did, that they were all pulled off of and they scrapped, was really good. Everyone that was pulled off of it, I remember them saying, "This is possibly the best game we've ever made." And I really don't know why. Well, I do know why. I know why they did it. They did it because they were, oh, well, I don't know this, but tin hat, but this is not really that much of a tin hat, is that the game that they made wasn't conducive to either microtransactions or live service.
Mhm. I
They
believe
needed
that.
they needed to cram something in there that didn't belong. They should they should have been making Baldur's Gate. They were trying to make Fortnite.
Yes. Bio wanted to make Baldur's Gate, EA wanted to make Fortnite, and they're like, wait, okay, how do we fit this square peg into this round hole?
Ooh, we do have Baldur's Gate. Yeah, but we really wanted Fortnite. So they took, case in point of going back to the first thing we talked about with that article of publishers should be really upset about how good Baldur's Gate is doing. They took probably the equivalent of something as good, if as good as Baldur's Gate, so who had the potential to be as good as Baldur's Gate, and they threw it away because they couldn't ham fist some bullshit microtransaction cash grab into it. They couldn't just make a good game. They couldn't make a good game because they had a good game and they threw it away.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting onto a I'm feeling the blood rise.
Well, then on to a different subject, and a kind of interesting subject.
Mhm.
Netflix is kind of experimenting now with game streaming. So Netflix has always
But they've
had
had
no,
that. They've had games. I've played
they've
it
they've
for a
had
while.
games. They've had games.
Mhm.
I even downloaded a whole bunch of games on
Yeah,
their
I played
phones.
Exploding Kittens on it, and I told you about it. I'm like, "Hey, I'm playing Exploding Kittens on Netflix."
Mhm. So this is basically and this is just a test. This is just a beta. It's only available to some subscribers in Canada and the UK. But it would allow people to stream Netflix games to select TVs. And so
Do
the
we know
way,
which TVs?
yes, again, and this is just a beta test. Um, in all places. So right now the two games that you can play are
Mhm.
Oxenfree
Okay.
and a new one called Mole Hughes Mining Adventure, which is just the gem mining game. So
Okay.
it's a typical like mobile game crap. Uh, when playing on a TV, you could control games using your smartphone. And so
Okay.
basically your phone then becomes a
Your
controller
controller.
for what's on the screen. If you're playing on the PC version of Netflix, if you're on their website, you could then use the mouse and keyboard for it as well. The TVs or the TV and connected TV devices that would support this beta are Amazon Fire TV media players, Chromecasts with Google TV,
Okay.
LG TVs, in
Oh.
NVIDIA Shield TVs,
Mhm.
Roku devices and Roku TVs, Samsung smart TVs, or something I've never heard of before, Walmart On, which is ONN, which I guess
Mhm.
is some sort of Walmart streaming service. But yes, again, this is just a beta test only available in Canada and the UK for some people on these devices. But I think it's interesting, and it feels to me like a better, again, people learning from
No,
Google.
On is a collection of tablets. They're On collection.
Oh, okay.
No, let me see. I have to press and hold to try to get in there. I don't know why if I'm looking at something. Um, please try again. Apparently, I'm not enough of a human.
Yeah, Chunderbox brings up too. We were talking about Dreadwolf. He says Dead Island 2 had similar issues of devs coming and going, but ended up being a good game in the end. So I think they are the exception, thank goodness. Yeah, Dead Island had a lot of trouble. And then, yeah, Dead Island 2. I think the original developer left and they kind of scrapped everything. But yeah, that's another game that I'll stream in October because at that point it should be on sale. I'm looking forward to playing some Dead Island 2 because I've heard good things about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so have I. So yeah, On is kind of their line of tech streaming products. They have an On Google TV. They have an On HD 720p LED Roku smart TV.
Okay, so it's like
You have a 4K.
it's
Wow, that's a really good price. On 55 class, 4K. Looks like that must be a 455 inch. 4K LED Roku Smart TV HDR for $248. That's crazy.
pretty good.
65 inch 4K LED Roku Smart TV HDR, $348 for a 65 inch.
Hmm. I'd have to see
Um,
what the quality of that TV
yeah, they
is.
have a party speaker, they have a tablet, they have, oh god, a 24-inch 720p on LED Roku Smart TV for $88. 24 inch.
There's gotta be something going on there.
24 inch. It's a
Either that's a
720p. It's not 4K. It's 720p, but it's 24 inch. It's got Roku
okay.
Smart TV. It doesn't have the HDR. It's $88 on sale. It's normally 118.
I mean,
Dirt cheap.
that's still cheap. That's really cheap. I'm suspicious about the quality of
$49
those
for a
TVs.
7-inch tablet, 32 gig hard drive.
Well, okay, that makes sense because that's a cheapo tablet. There's a whole bunch of lines
Yeah.
of cheapo tablets. Amazon
40
has a whole
bucks for
bunch
a
of them.
sound bar with 2 speakers. Yeah, like earbuds.
Chunderbox says, "Don't listen to the naysayers. Size does matter. Bigger is better." I
I know. I like my small TV. It's exactly what I
no,
need.
no.
It
I want.
fits. It's
I want.
what size matters until it's too big to fit the hole you have. And I have a space on my wall that is exactly what it is. And if I had any more, then it wouldn't fit the hole.
I've got a 55-inch now. I want to upgrade to a 60, but in my soul, I want to upgrade to a 70. I want something big.
You want the whole fucking wall. That
I
is
want the whole fucking wall.
such a guy thing. Kevin was the same way. Such a guy thing. And it's like, all you have to do is move this over a little bit more and move this over a little bit more. I'm like, and then the whole room is unbalanced. Then the wall is completely taken over by a television. Are you saying that the answer to the big TV is to make the hole bigger? No. No, we'll just go with the TV that fits the hole.
Look, if you need
The
to
hole does not need improving, sir.
if you need to break down a wall to fit a 70-inch TV, then you break down that wall.
No!
Oh,
85 inch.
Chunderbox, 85. See, the only reason I'm
I
not
almost
going
wanna rent
85
an 85-inch television to put it on your wall so that you could see how ludicrous that would look.
the only reason I'm not going 85 is because I think that might be too big for the room. If I could fit it, I would.
No. AC Ray says Nick likes his TV to cause UTIs. AC Ray, you get us. You understand. You are an ally. But
I
I'm
want
curious
it
how
to
you know
surround.
that. So yeah, on is I mean,
Yes, back to the
if you wanna test
topic.
this stuff out to see what the price is, yeah, I would like drop 100 couple $100 and see how it goes
Well, I mean,
before.
even if you drop $88 for a Walmart on, that's not guaranteed you'll get into this beta, right? This is a
No, that's true.
test.
And it's a closed beta.
Yeah, it's a
In
limited
what
beta
country?
test to a small number of members in Canada and the UK.
Oh, okay. So we wouldn't even get it now anyway,
No, we wouldn't.
unless you wanna move to Canada.
Or use like IP blocker. Anyway, but what I was saying is
Wait,
I think this is a
wait for
good
it. Wait for it.
test.
We have a question. We have a question from the Tin Hat Conspiracy Theory Gallery.
You look like you look uh, uh, uh like a deer.
Why wouldn't Microsoft make the streaming deal with Netflix?
That's interesting. Now wonder, will Netflix talk to Ubisoft about, hey, give us those
Hey,
Activision
big guy.
games?
What you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Looking pretty good. You can get classes now that give you the equivalent of watching 150-inch that are supposed to be really thumbs up.
Oh, glasses, he says.
Oh, glasses. Okay. I'm like, classes? Really? You have to go to class to be able to see a TV that big? Uh,
Oh, and AC.
he watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I was already a Rachel Bloom fan. Yeah, good for you. You remembered the parts that stuck with us. Well,
But yes, interesting test for streaming. I think companies have learned from Google, and like instead of going, we're doing this streaming, game streaming everywhere, get into it, get hyped for it, come to E3 for it, we're gonna do it. And they're like, no, we're just gonna quietly test this out. Is this actually viable? I don't know.
and will it
Let's
scale?
experiment.
And what do we have to do? Let's get the service down first,
Yes. And
and
I think it's worth
then we
saying,
start to hype it.
like, if this works, Netflix is in a very good position to take advantage of it, because if they just
Oh
add a
yeah,
tab to the TV app that's like, hey, start streaming your game, like everyone's already got a Netflix app. So they are in a good position to take advantage of this.
and they're in a really good position to take advantage of it for customers to use it on multiple platforms
Exactly.
because people already use Netflix on multiple platforms
And they really need something
to
to
make up for the
justify
fact.
to justify
Exactly what I was thinking.
what? Further
Getting
price
rid of the
increases?
sharing, getting rid of
Oh
the
yeah,
code sharing.
the coach ring. Like, look, I'm sure Netflix would love to keep increasing their prices, but you can only do that so much before people are like, well, wait, what more am I getting out of
People are
this?
starting to recognize that if I get Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and Hulu and Apple TV and uh, Netflix, I'm actually spending more
Mm-hmm.
than if I got cable.
Yeah.
'Cause that has always been the limiting factor for all of these services, is that it has to be less than Comcast or Cox or wherever you are. And HBO Plus. Now that all these other, like, channels and things that you would normally be able to get gotten on your television, before it was just Netflix. It's like Netflix offered just this unique thing that cable didn't offer. Now it's all these other things that are on television offering their own streaming service. You put those all together and you're spending more than Comcast, that's a problem. But if
Yeah.
Netflix can be all of those things and your gaming service, that means that you can say, all right, yeah, I'm spending as much as I would be paying on Comcast, but I can get rid of my PlayStation's accounts. That's an extra, 15 bucks a month that we have to
Yeah.
worry about.
If they add in a robust gaming streaming service, that would justify a price. They could use that as like maybe not jack up the price, but have a new tier,
Right.
right?
Right. Oh, that's what they're
This is
gonna
the
have. They'll make it a
Netflix
new tier.
and gaming tier that's like $30 a month.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I actually read that article on Ars Technica that AC Wraith says that the TV streaming apps broke their promises and now they're jacking up the prices. And the death spiral of Hollywood monopolies on the Ankler. Those are both really good articles. That kind
I'll
of
have to read those.
explains how Hollywood studios try to be tech companies and invent their own streaming services and how that model doesn't actually work for the industry, and now everyone's suffering the consequences of these studios trying to shift to a business model that's not well, what's the word, sustainable.
Mhm. And, yeah, absolutely. And I'm also, if they can add that one more, it's not that they're offering more, it's that they're adding on one more service to bundle in with cable that raises the limit. As I said, cable was the price of Comcast was the limit of what these things could be. Before it made more sense just to get Comcast. Now that instead of actually trying to add more services in here, they've raised the limit. So it's a little bit more now. But what's interesting is that all of these other Hollywood studios that were trying to act like tech companies now,
Mhm.
here's a tech company that is actually backing away from the tech model that killed Google's streaming service, which was move fast and break things. Netflix actually looked at what Google did and said, "Ooh, you broke several billion dollars is what you broke there. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to act more like a real product company. We are going to go slow and we are going to build the product.
Mhm.
And then we're going to market it. We don't need to talk about what we're going to be, but without actually having created it yet." They're going slow and not breaking things.
Yeah.
And they come from a tech background. That was their whole thing. They are like one of the early tech companies that moved fast
Oh
and
yeah.
broke things.
That they moved fast and broke things, and then all the Hollywood studios tried to be Netflix, and that's why Hollywood is broken at the moment.
Yeah. These guys are
So
moving slow and trying to break gaming.
studios moved fast to be like Netflix and broke their industry. Now Netflix is like, we don't need to move fast to be like Google, so let's not.
Right. Yeah. 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 Let's the Google broke themselves.
Moving fast and breaking things is for small companies that if they fail, no one cares.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it actually makes me really respect Netflix for actually doing it right.
At least in
Because
this regard. They're still fucking
Google
local
had no
Hollywood.
right to do what it did and how the way it did it. It had absolutely no reason, no right, and no, it was just buying into that tech bro mentality of like, "Yeah, we're gonna make something." and it's going to be awesome, and you're going to buy it. Netflix is actively not doing that, and it makes me love them more because it means they're smart. They they they're doing fine. They don't need to make another. They'd like to make another $1 billion, but they don't want to lose $1 billion doing it wrong.
Mhm. Yeah, they're
They're
doing
smart.
this right. They're still screwing over Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
They're still completely wrecking that whole situation.
right. Well, honestly, they went to screw over cable is what they meant to screw over, and they ended up screwing over Hollywood because Hollywood decided that it wanted to get involved.
True.
That was Hollywood's decision, not Netflix's. Netflix aimed the thing it meant to break was cable,
Yeah,
and it sort of did.
it
It
did.
did.
They're still being dicks by not releasing like how much people watch things because that affects residuals for
Right.
people, and that's one of the sticking points in all the strikes is, hey, we need to know how successful a thing is because that determines how much money we make, and
Right.
Netflix is very much behind holding up those negotiations, let's say.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, if we wanted to end the writer's strike and the actor's strike tomorrow, all Netflix would have to do is press send.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Kick Netflix out of the motion pictures union so that they're no longer at the negotiating table.
Yeah. 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 Make them a non-union shop.
Yeah.
That's never gonna happen.
Um.
General Box says back in the day, Netflix was a one-stop shop with most things and great value for the money. Piracy went down, but now it's going up again, and people need multiple services to watch their shows.
Yeah. That's all. Look, all subscription services start off better than they end.
True. Especially that subscription service for the movies passes.
Oh, Movie Pass.
Was it Movie Pass, that name of it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would definitely
Hey,
start off way better than it did.
I still use the AMC's version of the Movie Pass, and it's
Yeah.
actually really good
Yeah.
as long as you see a bunch of movies.
Right.
But yeah, Movie Pass was irresponsible from the beginning.
Movie Pass. Movie Pass just moved fast.
Movie
It
Pass was
was
like
broken from the minute it was the idea came into somebody's head.
Movie
It was the
Pass.
it was the fire festival of passes.
Movie Pass was like the whole idea is we're gonna lose a lot of money,
Yeah.
but we're gonna get so popular that we can then make other deals with other people that actually make us profitable. Turns out they lost too much money too fast.
Yeah.
Hey, stop that. Motherfucker, you guys are ruining the couch.
All right. So, moving right along. I'm gonna grab another
Okay.
spot here in the
That's
stories.
that's I believe okay, I think I have one more.
I have one more, and we'll talk about Baldur's Gate because we were talking about Baldur's Gate earlier. Should have jumped in with this one. Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
Do you remember how Baldur's Gate, like the whole issue with Baldur's Gate coming to Xbox was that it was kind of a hold up being made by the Xbox because the Xbox required parity
Yes,
between the
with
Xbox Series S and the Series X.
yes.
Well, we have that impasse has been taken care of. Baldur's Gate is going to be releasing on Xboxes, both Series S and Series X, but the solve is going to be that Series S will not have split screen.
Yeah, it won't have split screen co-op.
Yep. So that's the only it is going to be getting rid of one feature for the Xbox Series S. Now for the Xbox Series X, it's going to have it, no problem. But the
Yeah.
S is definitely going to be less featureful than
Which
than
is
what was there before.
interesting because Microsoft was always like, no, no, no. You can play everything on the S and X. Like it's
Yeah.
fine. And now we're finally at the point where it's like, no, we always knew you can't have everything be feature parity because then you'd be holding back development on newer games.
You
And
know,
we
it was a
finally hit that
problem.
point.
It was a problem until the most popular game of definitely this year and probably next year couldn't be released on Xbox at all.
Mhm.
And it's going to PlayStation first, and everybody's gonna get it on PlayStation. You know why? Because of feature parity. So
Yeah.
this was the juggernaut that broke
And
that whole
yeah,
feature
I'm
parity thing.
interested if this is the start of them making this exception more often,
Yeah.
or if this was a one-time thing. But it is funny because I now that you say this, I remember there's some quote by like Phil Spencer or someone that's like, no, 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 we never said that we required feature parity. We said we required something else, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yeah, no, they wanted feature parity, and it was a great idea as a promise to consumers until it fucked themselves over because they can't get Baldur's Gate, and now for Xbox, it was in limbo because of this little feature problem, and meanwhile, Sony was like, "Yeah, no problem. Bring it here." And everybody's like, "Cool, we'll be all buying it day 1 on PlayStation." This is going to be this next month is probably going to be the biggest month for PlayStation purchases in the history of PlayStation.
I don't believe that.
This essentially gave PlayStation a timed exclusive to one of the most popular games possibly of all time, and they didn't have to pay for it. This was I the celebrations in Japan were probably extreme. There was champagne shared when that whole thing about feature parity came up because this was an inevitable thing that was going to happen. I'm kind of surprised it happened as fast as it did. But yeah, as far as feature parity from now on, A, Microsoft has had to publicly backtrack and say that it's not a thing. And B, they've done it. It's a they've shown
Yeah.
themselves to be a paper tiger when it comes to a really, really, really good game. So
A
now
AC
that's
Wraith has the quote. Phil Spencer said, I don't see a world in where we drop S. In terms of parody, I don't think you've heard from us or Larian that this was about parody. I think that's more the community is talking about it. There are features that ship on X today that do not ship on S, even from our own games, like ray tracing that works on S. It's not on S in certain games. So for an S customer, they spent roughly half of what the X customer bought. They understand that it's not going to run the same way. And it's splitting hairs. He's splitting hairs because
yeah.
yes, the whole feature parity is like, well, the X game has ray tracing and the S game doesn't. But that's not the feature parity people are talking about.
That's not game features.
Exactly.
That's actually just graphical features.
It's not game modes.
It's not
Like
game
what we're
modes.
talking
It's not
about.
differences in the games
Yeah.
themselves.
And so again, him's going like, no, no, no. We never said they had to be that similar. We already do differences in all games. It's like, no,
That's not a difference in a game. That's a difference in this hardware, which
yeah,
we
it's like you're
knew there was
you're
differences in the hardware.
you're splitting hairs. Everyone knew
Yeah.
what you meant, and now you're trying to backtrack on it because
Yeah.
now we've reached the point where having that requirement would hold back development of modern games.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah. But then also, Chunderbox asked, "Did we watch?" Because that interview came from an interview that Spencer did at Gamescom, and Chunderbox asks, "Did we watch Gamescom? And if so, what was our favorite trailer, excluding Starfield?"
I did we watch I don't think no, we didn't watch
I don't
Gamescom.
think we watched it. I watched it, but a lot of the trailers and stuff was like, "Hey, here's more info from a bunch of games that you already know,
Mhm.
and here's a bunch of trailers for stuff that I don't particularly care about."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Hey, here's more Alan Wake. That's cool. Here's the trailer for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon on Netflix because we need content."
Yeah.
And so yeah, a lot of it wasn't really all that interesting, I thought.
Yeah. Was it a lot of people prefer Stern Pro versions of pinball tables over the higher tiers. Maybe it will work out. Yeah. Chatterbox says Sony has the same issues with PS4 dragging down PS5. Yes,
Yes,
true.
except they cut the PS4 loose, like,
Right.
way longer
Sony
ago.
never promised that you would be able to play the same games on the PS4 that you do on the PS5. That was not part of the, if not expressed promise, the implied promise. The implied promise is PS4 is aging out and eventually you're going to have to get rid of it.
I
That's the
think s
difference between generations, not a difference within the generation of two different.
Sony was kind of, like, accepting forced into doing some level of parody because they kept saying, "Oh yeah, Horizon Forbidden West will come with like a free PS5 upgrade. This other game will come with a free PS5 upgrade." They kind of had to add in this feature in order to create a kind of, it wasn't a parody, but it was like, shit, we're releasing a console in the middle of a pandemic and supply shortages. We need to find some way to get these exclusives out on PS4.
Right.
And so that's what they did.
Right.
But
That was
actually,
just a good business decision. Otherwise, they never would have sold a game.
yeah. Yeah, Chunderbox actually mentioned Crimson Desert from Gamescom. And yeah, that trailer stood out. You should bring that up. That game looks like it has literally everything in it.
Why does it sound familiar? Why do I want to think I've seen it?
But yeah, I saw that one. Crimson Desert looked cool. Everything else is like, yeah. A lot of anime stuff. People are excited for Genshin Impact Dev's new game, but
Mhm.
yeah. Like they showed off a lot for the Cyberpunk expansion that seems like it might make that game good.
Yeah. What did I read about?
Yeah, this is Crimson
Something
Desert.
about, yeah. Oh, wow. This
It's like
looks kinda cool.
a whole bunch of flashy ass combat. And then there's like fishing mini games. It's an open world. You can drift on a
High
horse.
destructibility. You can drift on a horse?
At some point they show
Oh,
him
yeah.
they show him riding and then the horse like drifts around a corner.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to that. Man, you know what this makes me wanna play?
Hmm.
Chivalry 2.
Chivalry.
I wanna play some Chivalry.
Did you see him carrying the goat?
But no, I didn't. What about the goat? I missed the goat.
You can I you can pick up a goat, I guess. Right there.
That's not a goat, that's a sheep.
Oh, whatever. Same difference. Yeah, I'm actually legit excited about Crimson Desert. I don't know how this game plays. I don't
Is
really
it
know what
set in
it's like.
Japan? It looks like it's set in Japan.
I don't think so, but
Well,
it
she
is.
she she did a she was doing a, a bow that was a,
I know
this right here.
it's from an Asian developer.
That move right there.
Yeah. Although if you skip ahead, you can see it gets even weirder. Skip ahead like a minute or so.
Wait, hold on a second, there's a dog. Aw,
And
and a
you
donkey,
can pet the
and a
dog.
kitty
You can
cat.
pick up the cat.
You can play. Can you dance? Because that means it's an MMO.
That's
Oh,
true.
wow. Okay, alright, alright. Air travel, portals, what?
It's right. All of a sudden, it's like, wait,
It's
what the fuck?
Skyrim. It's jungles, it's Assassin's Creed, uh, Red Dead Redemption.
Right? That's what I mean. This trailer is interesting in that the game looks like it has a
It
bit
looks
of
nutso.
everything.
It looks absolutely what?
Horse drifting, pole vaulting.
Oh, what?
Oh,
Oh,
even
this
some
is
shit out Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus. Oh, then we've got to have there was
That's
has to have
some
been of
what, Breath of the
skydiving.
Wild?
Yeah, I guess so.
Some bullet hell?
Oh my god. Oh, there we go, chivalry. Oh, yeah, no, that's I guess sort of that. This looks like Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, definitely not Japan, more of a fantasy kingdom.
It's like Final Fantasy meets every other game ever made. I'm waiting for Tetris any minute now.
Mm,
That is nuts. That is absolutely nuts. That's Wait, was that a monkey? Hold on, go back.
maybe actually, I think it's a Chinese developer that's making it.
Am I seeing that right? Yes. No. Yes. No.
Oh
Maybe.
no, it's an orc. I think he looks kind of orcish.
Yes, you think it's orc? It looks kind of monkey-ish. So I'm. That's kind of weird. What? Well,
Well, suffice to say, Crimson Desert
okay,
looks
it looks
interesting.
nuts. I don't know if it would be my favorite one, but it certainly would be the one that had me thinking about it and burning out brain cells trying to figure out what the hell it is.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that one. I think that's kind of the most interesting thing
Yeah.
there.
Anyway, so we got you have more stories.
Uh,
Am I done? I got Phantasmophobia, I got Baldur's Gate was oh, and yeah, I'm teased about the death of the guys whose voice was the voice of Mario.
the death of him.
Yeah, he passed
He
away.
didn't die. I think he just retired.
Did he retire? I
Yeah,
thought he
Charles
I
Michael Martinet.
that sounds familiar. Did I maybe because I hadn't actually written it down.
Okay, yeah, I
I
saw that he was like stepping away from doing the voice, but I didn't think he died.
maybe that was it. Let's see. Charles Martinet voice. He retires. You're right. You're
Okay.
right. You're right. He Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario since back in the Super Mario 64 days. He is going to be moving into a new role as Mario ambassador. So he was
Hmm.
both Mario and Luigi, and their counter the also Wario and Waluigi. So yeah. But in the Super Mario Brothers movie, he had a role as Mario and Luigi's dad.
Hmm.
So yeah, so he's moving on. That was a that was a good gig. It was a good gig for the guy.
Oh
Continues
yeah.
to be a good gig for the guy.
Anyways, my last story is that Epic has announced a new Epic First Run program,
Mhm.
which is basically if a developer opts in to having their game on the Epic Store for 6 months exclusively on the Epic Store, that developer will get 100% of the profits sold during those 6 months.
Ooh. That's a there's gonna be a lot of developers doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a good
A
deal
lot. I
because
mean, declaring it now, Oogie Boogie Speloogie is gonna be on the Epic Store.
Epic Store exclusive for 6 months.
Absolutely, absolutely. Epic Store exclusive.
Yeah, and then after those 6 months, it goes back to like the typical 88-12 split that it is usually,
Still, even 8812 is
which
better than most of the
still,
industry.
yeah, very good. Yeah, uh, seems like a neat way of encouraging developers to go there while also like not hoarding games, right? Because after those 6 months, they can get released on anything
Right.
else.
It serves dual purpose. It makes actually, it's not about the developers bringing it to Epic. That's important, but what it's really about is bringing, uh, consumers to Epic to
Oh
check for stuff.
yes, yes.
That they're going to be going to Epic instead of Valve. 'cause they know that things are gonna be there first, and if we get into the habit of checking Epic and then checking Valve instead of just going or Steam, and then instead of just going to Steam immediately and only staying there, never even thinking about the Epic Store only as like a, "Oh, yeah, there's the Epic Store, huh? Forgot about that." They don't wanna be that, "Oh, yeah," store
They
anymore.
don't want to be. AC Ray says, I have a great library on Epic. Someday I might even buy a second game.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I have way more than 2 games on Epic
I don't even
because they offer monthly free games, and I usually sign up to download those.
Yeah, and that's they've tried to get us there by literally giving us games, and we're still not going there. I don't even know what games I have. What are the Epic games this week?
Well, right now,
Fortnite?
free now is Homeworld: Deserts of Karnak, which is a
Carrack, and
um
yeah.
yeah, everything I've heard, it's a good game.
Yep, and, Cave Story.
I'm gonna be buying Homeworld: Deserts of Karnak right now because it's free.
Yeah. Sims 4 free. Fall Guys free. Destiny 2 free.
Well, those are all free games.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
this is one of the paid games that is, like, now free. I have let me check my library. I
I don't
got
yeah.
BioShock 2 Remastered, BioShock Infinite, BioShock Remastered, Borderlands 3, Call of the Sea, Dying Light Enhanced Edition, Fort Triumph, Hood, Outlaws and Legends, Horizon Chase Turbo, Iritas, Manhunter, Mordhau, Sable, Gladius, Superland, Shapes, Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun, which is actually a really good game. Wolfenstein: The New Order. That's my Epic Games library that I
I
have
I just signed into my
without
Epic Games library.
without paying anything.
I just signed into my Epic Games library, and it's like, I think I must have an Epic Games library, account, so I'm like, "Oh, yeah, here I do." It's like, "Oh, yeah, sign in." I can sign in with my email, sign in with a password. I sign in, and my username is not Gamer Edie. Um, I don't know why I named myself that.
Wow,
What's
Chunda says, I think I've only missed 2 games that they've given out. His library must be over 200 now.
Oh my god.
That's
My
impressive.
achievements, my wallet, where would it be under? I wouldn't even know where my
It
games
should just
are.
be under library.
Is there I don't even see store distribution support. Do I not have anything in my library? I don't think I even have a thing. Distribution? Support? No, I don't need support. Go away, go away, go away. Not gamer. My achievement, Epic Rewards, Epic Wallet, coupons, account, redeem code, wish list, sign out. I don't think I have anything on Epic. No, that can't be. Do I have more than one Epic account? That one is not Gamer Edie and one is Edie, Gamer Edie?
Huh.
Huh. Nope. I don't think I have anything on.
Chunnabox says Amazon is the same. He's got over 400 games there.
Oh my god.
Look, I mean, these services give out like a free game every month. If you jump on that, I will say I usually download the PlayStation Plus free games each month, and I have to have like probably 150 games from doing that the past several years. Yeah, if you haven't, he says, AC Ray says, if you haven't kept up with the site each week, you haven't got the games. Because you have to log in to download them. They're not just automatically added.
No, I know that, but I'm wondering if I'd ever purchased anything on the game store and
I haven't.
I mean, no, I mean, like, if I had anything in the past that I had gone back and downloaded, and I don't think I've
No.
ever even downloaded anything off the Epic Game Store.
Well, you can download Homeworld: Deserts of Karak right now.
I'm not gonna do that.
And that's probably why you don't have one there. Let me see. What is GOG offering? Oh, Chunderbox says every week, not monthly.
It's every
X
week. Yeah,
PlayStation,
that I knew.
Xbox are monthly. Yeah, Epic is every week. Does GOG offer anything? Let's see. What does
Where do I find the free games? I'm not even seeing where the free games are. I guess under store?
Yeah, it should be right there on the front.
Browse? Popular genres. There we go. Traffic Karak. It doesn't really show me what's free. Just in one space. I have to kind of look for it.
Are you sure? If I go to the
T-Rex dinosaur game is 69 cents. Down from 99 cents.
if I go to the store page and I scroll down some, there's a section that just says free games with a little present, and it's got Homeworld and Cave Story coming soon.
I'm just gonna pull up my thing because I guess I'm not seeing it, or maybe I'm blind.
Because I know there are a lot of other free games.
Okay, so here I am in my account, not Gamer
Yeah.
Edie. There's the store.
Scroll down.
Games on sale.
Right there.
Oh, there we go. Free games. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know why that wasn't coming up. I did scroll down. I did not see them, and I'm looking here. I'm like, where could it possibly be? All right. Well, I guess I'm downloading them even though I don't really want to play them. Why not, right?
Yeah. But look, they're there if you ever want them.
Yeah, guess so. I generally speaking don't play E for everyone games, but it could happen.
Wait, is Homeworld E?
What?
Was Homeworld E for everyone?
I can't believe it would be Homeworld. The most fucked up things in the world happen in Homeworld.
Yeah, I thought Homeworld was a very dramatic game.
It was.
So what are you talking about with E for everyone?
The Legends of Car, whatever it is. Oh, I
Yeah.
guess it is. Oh, it is Homeworld. Legends of Karak. Yeah, it's E for everyone. Fantasy violence. All right.
Maybe because it's a tactical game, and so the camera is pulled back really far, and it's also just involving spaceships getting blown up.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess the ESRB is like, spaceships aren't people.
Yeah, that would be fantasy and violence. And GOG has random giveaways too. One of these days, I'm just going to, for a month, download all the free games everywhere that I can, just to see how much games I can get for free. From Prime, from GOG, from Epic Game Store, from Xbox, from PlayStation, just all the free games that I could possibly get.
Yeah. Some of them are good too.
Yeah, and he says, Chenderbox says, I only pay for about 1% of them. He's definitely a game
He
hoarder.
says he only plays 1% of them.
Yeah. Oh, he only plays 1% of them. Yeah. All right. How much more have you got? Because I'm done and I have to pee and I'm hungry
That was the last story I
and I
had.
gotta go smoke a pork chop.
That was the last story
That
I
is
have.
that's not that's not a euphemism for drugs.
Smoke
It
a
is
pork chop?
to smoke
Oh
a pork
yeah.
chop.
I've got to smoke a pork chop too. I'm gonna snort that pork chop. I'm gonna put it in a
I gotta
spoon and
snort a
heat it up with
steak.
a lighter.
I gotta inject a chicken breast and
Oh
I gotta
yeah.
smoke a pork chop. No, I gotta smoke.
I gotta ingest that steak between my toes. It's gonna be delicious.
Yeah. Oh, Ginger says you often post them on your Discord, on the Discord. Yeah. I mean, really, if we've got this whole channel on our Discord about, game deals. That's a really good place. If you
Yeah.
are seeing games
AC
that are
rate
coming up for
does.
free, we do have a section of our Discord called Game Deals. Stick
Mhm.
them in there. I've
It,
posted a couple of them.
yeah, AC rate posts a lot of them. It's one of those things where you just get into a habit of like, you know what? I'm just gonna like whenever we do the podcast, I'm just gonna open Epic Games. Is there a game there? It's like that looks interesting. Add it.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will add before we end the podcast,
Hmm.
I before the weekend, I saw Gran Turismo, which just came out in theaters this week.
Right.
And that movie is actually really fucking good.
Really?
It's really good. It's
What's
it's
the
it's based on a true story of a kid who played a lot of Gran Turismo and
Oh, that's right. I heard about this.
got accepted into a contest to become a real race car driver.
Right.
And look, it's a sports underdog story. It is a sports underdog story through and through. You know each plot beat before it comes up.
It's Days of Thunder.
but it executes on those plot beats really, really well. And the race
Okay.
scenes are like really exciting and
Okay.
intense. And it's one of those things that I came out of it going, oh, Neil Blomkamp, the guy that did District 9, directed it.
Right. Oh,
And I came out of it going, you know what? Neil Blomkamp is a damn good director because he's able to take a story that you know exactly what's going to happen every step of the way, but he still manages to make it exciting.
yeah.
It's like that's just good technique right there.
Yeah. It is.
So yeah, I'll say Gran Turismo, like really good movie. And
Who knew?
I got it. You know what? Between Mario, Last of Us, Twisted Metal being surprisingly good, Gran
Mhm.
Turismo being surprisingly good, I think we are officially out of the era of bad video game
It
adaptations.
does seem that way, doesn't it? And that's yeah, I'm glad that those are gone. Speaking of adaptations that are way better than they have any right to be, I've not seen the Barbie movie. I had no inclination to ever see the Barbie movie until the Barbie movie came out, and everybody says it is all that. It is that good.
I really want to see it. I've been
You haven't
trying
seen
to
it?
I would have weeks ago, but Rachel wants to see it. And so we've been trying to find a time to see it together. The first weekend it came out, we looked to get tickets, but the theater near us was all sold out.
Sold out. Just sold out.
And other weekends, and you know what? It comes out to rent digitally September 5th. And so we're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to wait until that and rent it. Because again, we were going to see it this weekend, but again, circumstances got in the way and
Is
we
it
canceled.
playing? Oh, because if it's playing at the Cerrito next weekend, I'm gonna invite you up here and we're gonna go to the Cerrito.
Okay, it might be.
Cerrito Theater. That is the movie theater that has pizza and beer.
Okay, yeah, the one by us serves dinner.
Yeah, Cerrito, but I'm not going over there anymore. You keep on saying you want to come over here.
And we will
Sorry,
totally
the
come up there.
Rialto. Is it the Rialto? Yeah, Rialto Cinemas El Cerrito. Is that it? The one? Yeah, the Rialto Cinemas, hometown movie theater, and they are playing Barbie.
I'm sure they are. Like
Thursday. It doesn't have next weekend, but yeah, Barbie and Blue Beetle
I
are
saw Gran Turismo was like I think the number one new movie that came out this week.
mhm.
It barely beat Barbie. Barbie was number 2 for like
There is a 1-2 that I would have bet would never happen in the history of humanity.
Gran Turismo and Barbie.
Right. As 1 and 2 for the box office.
Yeah.
I would have at that point just launched a nuclear bomb because clearly everybody on the planet is dumb at that point. That idiot, what was it? What's that movie? I'm having a brain cramp. The movie that is about idiots, people evolving into morons.
Oh, Idiocracy.
I would have bet that Idiocracy had happened, and we just needed to stop humanity from breeding at that point.
No, turns out they're both really good. But I'm impressed that Barbie like was so popular. It was almost the number one movie like what 4 or 5 weeks after it came out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Barbie
it's
was beating Oppenheimer, and it was a neck and neck race for a
oh
long
no,
time.
it wasn't neck and neck. Barbie
Was it?
like no Barbie Oppenheimer was never gonna make as much money as Barbie. Um, Barbie blew it out of the water.
Oh,
They
I thought
they
that they were close because everybody I knew were doing Barbenheimer, like
yeah
doing a Barbenheimer weekend
they
or
both
Barbenheimer day.
they both did really really well. And then I saw a bunch of people speculating that Oppenheimer did better than it would have without Barbie because a lot
Of
of people
of Barbenheimer because it became a
because
thing.
people who would not have normally wanted to see it went to go see it.
Yeah, just to
That
say
one I
that they were part of it.
yes, and I did see that one too. That one's actually really good.
Which one?
Oppenheimer.
Oh, I can see that. All right. So yeah, the Rialto Cinema. Here it is. Let's see. They're doing Blue Beetle and Barbie right now, and there's the food and drink. Oh, and their pizza is so good.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's full on, good bar, great meals. Their
Scroll
pizza,
scroll up. Let me see what the seat looks like.
the seats.
Yeah. Okay. I want to see that picture.
Yeah, that one right here. Yeah.
Oh, so they actually have tables?
Yeah, yeah. They have
Hmm.
both tables and they have actually a bar that runs the front row of everything. It has a bar that all runs down, but in other places they have tables.
Interesting.
The old one where this whole idea originated in Oakland, they don't think is open anymore. They actually would have like lounge seating, like lazy boys and couches and stuff with
Oh,
tables in front of it.
the theater by us that does food and drink basically has like a little tray that you can pop up and then put in front of you, and
Mhm.
that's what you eat, but it's all traditional stadium movie theater
Ugh,
seating.
come on. Oh, there we go. I wanna see get the, menu out here so you can see it.
AC Ray linked to an epic rap battles of history between Thanos and Oppenheimer.
So, yeah, there's your meal. I mean, roasted Brussels sprouts, hummus plates, pizza, burgers, salads, grilled chicken and prosciutto sandwich, which I've had is really, really good.
What
There's your
was what's
wine and
this?
huh?
What was this place called?
It's called the, Rialto Cinemas Cerrito. There's your, your wine and beer list. You can drink prosecco and watch Barbie.
Naturally.
So, yeah, it's a great place. Does Hey, Ginger, does Australia have anything like this? Because if they don't, buddy,
What?
we're making money. If Australia doesn't have something like this, you and I gonna get together. We're gonna make a lot of money
I'm
because
sure
this
they
place
do.
makes a
They
fuck of a lot of money.
they have to have, like, restaurant and movie theater. Everyone has that.
The Everywhere doesn't have burritos, also another thing that would make money anywhere, but London, England only just got burritos in the last, like, other than, like, those horrible burritos, like California burritos. England only just got those and only in limited places in London, like exclusive shops, like, 5 years ago.
Hmm.
It's amazing the things that we have that people are like, "Oh my god, why this is so good," and then they go home and they don't think to themselves, "Why don't I do that here?"
This website only shows showtimes
Yeah,
until
he
next
says they do
Thursday.
now. Australia eventually follows US. Yeah, one of the first places to do it was in Oakland, and that was my Kevin's and my first date was at that place, and that was 25 years ago, 24 years ago. Was and with that had been place had been around forever, and they had Rocky Horror Picture Show midnight movies, and, oh, the pizza was so good. It was Blondie's Pizza, essentially. Same recipe from Blondie's on Telegraph in San Francisco, where Blondie's Pizza started.
Hmm.
Anyway, this is making me hungry, Nick.
Okay.
This is making me really hungry. So we should close out the show, and just because I'm gonna do it with music, okay?
Okay.
Alright, let's close this out.
Okay.
You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 689. We recorded this on Sunday, August 27th, 2023. Yeah, August 27th, 2023. I'm Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick Nicola. If you want to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail is our email. We do record this show live, and we stream it every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. It could last 20 minutes. It could last 6 hours. We have no idea, but it always starts more or less 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern every Sunday here on Twitch and on YouTube. On Twitch, we'd love to have you join us on Twitch. It's really the best way to view us. But on Twitch, we are the GameHounds, and on YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS as in videos. Feel free to come there. And hey, if you're watching in either of those places right now, did you like what you saw? Did you like us and you're going to come back? Here's what you need to do. You need to hit the subscribe button, please. We would really appreciate if you would just take a moment, hit that subscribe, and hit that like button if you're on YouTube. But we would love to have you subscribed. And if you are an Amazon Prime user, if you have a subscription to Amazon Prime and you have not used your subscription to Amazon Prime yet for a Twitch channel, you get one free one. If you like us and you haven't used it, we would mind it if you subscribe through Amazon Prime to us. We would appreciate every penny we get. Speaking of pennies that we get, I want to say thank you to our patrons. From Drew, Johan Lundgren, Thunder from Down Under, Nick, Bill Baines, Harry Speaton, The London, John Cullen, Andy H, Iruga, Damocles X, Nacho Romero, Andrew, Anonymous. Thank you for being our patrons. We do appreciate it because every penny that you give us, we just ask for $1 a month. So it's not like we're asking for a lot, but $1 a month from you helps fund all of the subscriptions that we need to keep this going. If you would like to become a Patreon subscriber, please do so. You can go to patreon.com/GameHounds. And of course, our Discord. That's where you find us almost all the time. Where we have polls, where we have questions, where I let you know I'm going to be streaming, where Nick's going to let you know if he ever does stream. That's where we'll be. Hope you have a great week. Take care. Be safe. COVID is out there. Wear a mask. See y'all next week. Bye-bye. And we're out. All right. I really got to go to the bathroom. Now, who's playing what and what are we doing tonight? Are we doing anything? I'm thinking I really have to do some shit around the house. But
okay, I have to
talking about that CK3, I really want to see how things go down now.
I'm excited to see that. I have to go to one of Rachel's friends' kids' birthday party afterwards, but we'll be back in the evening.
Rachel's friend's kid's birthday party? How old is this kid?
1. It's the mom's birthday party, right?
Congratulations, Mom. You didn't murder your child in the first 12 months. Here's looking forward to the next 12.
The thing is,
crossing our fingers.
He's actually 18 months old. But they never got a chance to give him to do a 1-year birthday party because they got sick. Then we had stuff to do. Then the other got sick. Then something else happened and something else happened. So now 6 months after he turned 1, they're like, you know what? We really need to do a birthday party.
No, you don't. That's the thing. He's 1. He doesn't even know. You could just tell him he did 1.
Oh yeah. The kid doesn't care.
No. It's just he's gonna do a smash. He's gonna do a cake smash, and that's all it's gonna be.
But the mom does, and they're ordering in Mexican food for everybody, so
okay. Well then, yeah. Go. Absolutely go. There's
right?
No question. Yeah.
Right?
You start with your friends are ordering Mexican food and they're giving the kid a cake. That's all you had to say.
Okay.
You're going to a dinner party where they're ordering in Mexican food. Yeah, that's a period.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
So that's what I'm having for dinner, but we'll be back in the evening.
It's have fun with boxes day. Yeah, no kidding. Did I finish my Crusader game? Oh, Chunder, you weren't here for the epic story of what happened after you left.
Oh, when did he leave?
He left just before my character died in a fire.
Oh, so he left right before the real story began.
Right before shit started going really fucking sideways. Yeah, I forgot about that. When you had the 2 sons, the epic golden son, finally something good happens, and you have the 2 babies, and then you have the others. Right. Yeah. And then it's I have it all set. Okay, I got it sorted out. I'm gonna wait until that kid grows up. I'm gonna disinherit that kid. I just need a little bit more to disinherit that one kid. And my character dies in a fire. I've never seen a character die in a fire before. Somebody sets fire to the fucking castle and murders him in a fire. Like, the minute I came back, I'm like, I like quit, and then I like came back, and like the second I came back, oh, let's start this game, and dies in a fire. What?
Like, wait, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah. No, Chunder, you Blood Reaper was with me until midnight last night. This story went off the rails. And we will now I'm definitely going to play it tonight. God dang it. I got stuff to do. I got to clean the house. I got to get up. Chunder, what are you doing in October? Do you want to come to the United States for a month? I will pay you $2,000 to come to the United States and stay at my house. All you have to do is feed my dogs and don't let them crap in the house. That's all you have to do. Minimum. Seriously, if you want to come to the United States, I'll pay you $2,000 to come over. Anyway, so but yeah, now I've got crap that I need to do, but now I absolutely have to play later tonight. So I'm gonna get myself some food. I'm gonna smoke my pork chop. That not a euphemism. I'm gonna smoke my pork chop, and then I am going to start back up, and I'm gonna try to figure out what the hell went wrong, and try to fix what the nightmare that this game has become. Yeah, Eastman. They started talking about it so you can find the story easy when this stream ends. Yeah, it's literally at the beginning of what went down on that thing. Yeah, he says, Edie left us for a neighbor, and then I didn't see the notification. Damn, I wish it was here. Yeah, the neighbor like left in like 10 minutes. So I'm like, let's just come back. And nobody else came back, but Blood Reaper was laughing his ass off on what happens next. The rest of it, I am going to make a supercut of the story because I have never played a more cursed playthrough than this. It's just insane. Insane what happens. And I had to walk away mad at midnight because I won't wreck the story. But I had to walk away mad. All right. See everyone later. It is currently, oh God, it's almost 6. I am gonna go to the bathroom. I'm gonna make some food. I'll probably be back in about an hour-ish. I also have to walk the dogs, but I'll be back in about hour and 15. I will announce it ahead of time on the Discord channel, and then I'm gonna have a really long lead up time when I start on Twitch. So if you want to get notifications from us on Twitch, get notifications on Twitch. Do the notification thing. Subscribe to us and set it up so that you can get some notifications when we go live. So you can get the little bloop bloop that we're here, because we would love to have you here. So see you in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. And have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.